What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
1 EC. Chapter 1. I am Ace's uncle. Sea Circle Calendar 1500, South Blue. The salty sea breeze blew against Lin Chen's face, and the sounds of several seagulls came from the blue sky. But at this time, Lin Chen had no intention of enjoying this leisurely beauty. At this moment, he was holding a baby and running quickly along the path to the outside of the island. Looking down at the sleeping baby in his arms, Lin Chen flashed a wry smile. Portgas d'Ace is the baby's name. Yes, Lin Chen is also a time traveler. 2 years ago, he accidentally traveled to the world of One Piece that he knew before his death, and became Rouge's younger brother and Ace's uncle. Although he is Ace's uncle, Lin Chen is not much older than Ace. He is only a 12-year-old boy at this time. Lin Chen, who was familiar with the plot, certainly knew that Garp would be waiting for him outside the island at this time, but the pursuers behind him were not so easy to get rid of. 2 years ago, Roger started the era of great pirates before he was executed. At the same time, the world government and Marine did not let go of the pursuit of Roger's family. For 2 years, Rouge took Lin Chendong to hide in Tibet, and finally hid on an island in South Blue. Lin Chen watched step by step as this strong woman used amazing perseverance to give birth to Ace for 2 years. However, what I didn't expect was that the world government found out this place by some means. At the same time, Garp, who got the news, also secretly went to Lin Chen's place. Thinking of Rouge's instructions before his death, Lin Chen's eyes were filled with perseverance. It was her sister's last wish to take care of Ace when he grew up. She must protect Ace. Find that kid quickly. Don't let him escape. There will be a huge reward for finding Roger's posthumous son. Hearing the sound of the pursuers behind him, Lin Chen did not dare to be careless and gathered chakra at his feet, speeding up a bit faster. As a time traveler, Lin Chen naturally awakened his own cheat system. Lin Chen's system can convert Bailey or other valuable items in the pirate world into points to exchange for abilities in the Hokage world, and you can also spend points to improve your own skills. Host. Lin Chen. Skill. 3 Body Technique LV1. Points. 0. Each skill is divided into 10 levels from 1 to 10, and your own 3 Body Technique is a skill that comes from the Novice Gift Pack. Lin Chen has been hiding with Rouge for 2 years, and has very few opportunities to win Pele, so naturally he has no points. Thanks to the 3 Body Technique rewarded by the system, Chakra was also produced in Lin Chen's body. However, because Lin Chen's mastery of the 3 Body Technique was too low level, it was difficult to maintain high-speed running even if he used it, so Lin Chen chose to directly gather the few chakras under his feet to increase his speed. Lin Chen turned his head and looked behind him. After using chakra, Lin Chen's speed became much faster, and he got rid of the pursuers behind him in a short while. Finally, when it was almost dusk, Lin Chen finally ran to the place agreed with Garp. Looking from a distance, a middle-aged man wearing a dog head hat and unshaven beard was looking worriedly. Seeing this, Lin Chen finally breathed a sigh of relief. Arriving on the marine ship, Garp looked at the boy in front of him, a little dazed, and remembered what he said when talking to Rouge, hoping that he would take good care of the 2 children. Mr. Garp, my brother Lin Chen has his own opinions and has a very bad impression of Marine. I hope you can take good care of Lin Chen after the birth of Ace's child. I just hope that he can embark on a good path. Don't go astray. Hey, Garp. As soon as Garp came back to his senses, he heard that Lin Chen disrespected his address, and then punched Lin Chen on the head and cursed. You brat. Didn't your sister teach you how to respect others? Damn it. That's because you've been in a daze and you didn't listen to what I kept saying. When Garp heard Lin Chen's words, he picked his nose indifferently. So what? I just heard you disrespected my title, brat. You will call me Uncle Garp from now on. Gee, what a disrespectful guy. Just as Lin Chen finished muttering, he unexpectedly received a heavy punch on the head from Garp. Don't think I can't hear you, you brat. Well. Lin Chen was squatting on the deck with his head in his hands, but he didn't dare to say anything more. I have already made a note of Garp's little notebook in my mind. Looking at Lin Chen squatting on the ground, Garp said casually. Leave Ace to me, I will raise him well. So, little Lin Chen, what are you going to do in the future? Lin Chen squatted on the ground and looked at the gaps on the deck, somewhat lost in thought. Yes, what should I do in the future? I am too weak now. World government will not let go of Acer itself. Even if it has a system now, it only has the potential to become stronger. But Lin Chen, who had read online articles about his past life, knew how many geniuses died on the road to becoming stronger. Just like now, let yourself kill a pirate with a bounty of tens of millions of Baileys. After killing and obtaining Baileys, you will naturally become stronger, but the question is how to kill. Lin Chen, who is familiar with Go Dao, knows that only Go can develop now, otherwise once the world government finds out about his and Ace's existence, he will be annihilated. Only when you gain the power to compete with the world government can you and Ace live in this world with integrity. Looking at Lin Chen who was squatting on the ground silently, Garp didn't know what Lin Chen was thinking at this moment. He thought that Lin Chen still hated Marine and was unwilling to accept his protection. If Lin Chen knew what Garp was thinking, he would definitely laugh and not care. This 12-year-old boy has the soul of an adult in his body. Marine is just a sort of world government. There are also some truly righteous people in Marine. The real source is this sick world government, and the celestial dragons behind the scenes. Why don't you go to Marine with me? I will train you to become an outstanding Marine. Hearing Garp's words, Lin Chen was stunned, but after thinking about it, he was relieved. I'm afraid this was his sister Rouge's plea to Garp. Good. Hearing Lin Chen's answer, Garp was a little stunned. He didn't expect Lin Chen to be so easy to talk to, and thought he needed some love education. Under the setting sun, the two stood on the deck. Lin Chen was finally able to relax and feel the salty sea breeze. Lin Chen took a deep breath, looked at the sunset under the sea level in the distance, and shouted loudly as if he wanted to vent the anger in his heart. Wait for me. As for whether to let the world government wait for him or let the celestial dragons wait for him, I am afraid only Lin Chen knows. Garp on the side took out the donuts in his arms and gave Lin Chen a chestnut without hesitation. Noisy. It made me eat. Lin Chen held his head and could only think silently in his heart. Sooner or later you're going to feed all your donuts to the dog. Chapter 2. A Magatama Sharingan. In the early morning, the cool breeze carrying morning dew blew slowly on Lin Chen's body. Before Lin Chen could feel too much comfort, he heard Garp's cursing voice. Boy Lin Chen. Ace pooped again, come and change your pants. Opening his eyes, Lin Chen's eyes were bloodshot at this time. It was for no other reason than Ace was so noisy last night. The two men, one old and one young, kept making milk powder and changing pants, and they didn't sleep all night. The sailors on the ship were also unbearable and did not dare to say anything due to Garp's majesty. When he came to Ace, Lin Chen raised his eyebrows and looked at the yellow stuff on Garp's hand, and skillfully changed Ace's diaper. Hey, old man Garp, when will you arrive at the headquarters? Give me some respect. Well, seeing Lin Chen's shameless look, Garp was also very helpless. Counting the days, it's almost here today. Lin Chen silently counted the days in his heart. After living on the ship for half a month, he finally arrived at the legendary naval headquarters. Lin Chen still had some expectations in his heart. Does Mr. Garp have Bailey? Hearing Lin Chen's words, Garp almost spit out the tea he just drank. When did this kid become so polite? Yes, what's wrong? Hearing Garp's answer, Lin Chen's smile became even brighter and he came closer to Garp. Mr. Garp, Uncle Garp, can you lend me 20 million belly? 20 million? Why do you want so much? Of course I use it for myself. As a Marine Vice Admiral, Mr. Garp won't even have 20 million. No, no, no. Hearing Lin Chen's strange voice, Garp clenched his fist and looked at Lin Chen with squinted eyes. I can lend it to you, but you have to come over and let me punch you, otherwise I'll feel uncomfortable. Lin Chen's heart froze when he heard Garp's words. He already knew that he was not a bitch and had nothing to say. There was no way, for the sake of his own money, Lin Chen could only silently walk over and receive Garp's iron fist of love. Of course, Lin Chen also got his wish of 20 million Baileys. When he came to his room, Lin Chen looked at the 20 million Baileys in his hand and thought silently. Switch. Host. Lin Chen. Skill. 3 Body Technique LV1. Points. 2000. Seeing the converted points, Lin Chen also figured out the ratio. Bailey and the points were converted at a ratio of 10,000 to 1. Opening the system's mall, Lin Chen also saw countless Hokage skills, items, and even blood inheritance limits. 1 Magatama Sharingan. 1000. 2 Magatama Sharingan. 5000. 3 Tomo Sharingan. 10,000. Mangekyo Sharingan. 50,000. Eternal Mangekyo. 100,000. Rinnegan. 500,000. C-level Ninjutsu. 500. Class B. 2,000. Grade A. 10,000. S-level. 20,000. ... Looking at the dazzling array of products in the mall, Lin Chen's mouth almost watered. Especially since there are some bloodline constitutions, Senju, Uzumaki, Uchiha, etc. With these, is it far enough to kick Garp and punch 5 elders? Looking at his few 2,000 points, Lin Chen felt helpless. It seemed that only Krypton Gold could continue to make him stronger. At the same time, Lin Chen also looked at the points required to upgrade skills. 1,000 points are needed from level 1 to level 4, 10,000 points are needed from level 4 to level 7, and 50,000 points are needed from level 7 to level 10. Seeing this, Lin Chen could only silently curse the profiteers. It takes a total of 183,000 points to upgrade a skill from level 1 to level 10. This price is close to 2 Eternal Mangekyo. If you switch to S-level Ninjutsu, you can learn 9. Lin Chen thought for a moment and immediately chose to exchange the Magatama Sharingan without hesitation. At the same time, he also changed 2 C-level Ninjutsu, Great Fireball and Phoenix Fire. After all, Uchiha is suitable for fire style. A stream of clear water passed through Lin Chen's eyes. When he opened his eyes again, a black Magatama was slowly turning in his eyes. Seeing the world around him seem to slow down for an instant, Lin Chen was also amazed by the magic of Sharingan. However, after only half an hour of driving, Lin Chen had to turn off Sharingan. Without him, there was no chakra. Therefore, increasing the amount of chakra is also in Lin Chen's training plan. Lin Chen does not intend to rely solely on the ability in Hokage to improve himself, but the Magatama Sharingan is crucial to his future learning and mastering of the 6 moves in Marine. Lin Chen believes that only by learning the physical skills, Haki, and Kendo in the pirate world, and combining them with the ninjutsu in the Hokage, can he stand on top of the world in this world. Host. Lin Chen. Skill. 3 Body Technique LV1. Great Fireball Technique LV1, Phoenix Fairy Fire Technique LV1. Bloodline. Magatama Sharingan. Points. 0. Near noon, Lin Chen finally saw the naval headquarters at this time, Marineford. Looking from a distance, it was basically the same as what Lin Chen saw in the animation in his previous life. The huge seagull logo was particularly eye-catching. However, at this time, Lin Chen and Garp returned to their residence in a very low-key manner. After all, Garp's excuse was to go back to his hometown of East Blue to visit, but in fact, he secretly took away Roger's posthumous son and Roger's brother-in-law. Once this kind of thing is exposed, not even Garp can protect the two of them. Arriving at Garp's residence, Lin Chen looked around like a curious baby. It was a very ordinary residence for the elderly. Looking at Lin Chen, Garp gently placed Ace on the prepared cradle and ordered. I'll take you to Marine School tomorrow. Just take a good rest today. You stay at home and don't run around. I'll report to that guy Sengoku. Looking at Lin Chen's well-behaved appearance, Garp said no more, went to find Sengoku and began to think about what kind of reason to explain these two children. Hey, Garp, don't just come in during the meeting. So what? As he spoke, Garp took out the donuts from his pocket and ate them without paying any attention to Sengoku's cannibalistic look. Looking at Garp, Sengoku made a tic-tac-toe sign on his forehead, clenched his fists, took a deep breath, ignored Garp, and continued the meeting. Several people in the house were not surprised by this and had long been accustomed to it. In other words, one person escaped from the Ohara Buster call this time. Yes, I recommend that Nico Robin be wanted immediately. Sengoku rubbed his brow, looked at Akainu and said. Then let's put a reward, initially set at 79 million belly. Alas, world government is getting more and more worried every day. Sengoku said casually, and then announced the end of the meeting. An indescribable look flashed in Admiral Aokiji's eyes. Hey, Sengoku, I picked up a kid in East Blue. I think he has good talent. I want to send him to Marine School and give him to Zephyr. Oh, since you picked it up, leave it to you and I will tell Zephyr. Haha, I'll treat you to donuts when I get back, Sengoku. With that said, Garp took another batch of donuts from Sengoku's office. Damn it, get out of here right now. Watching Garp leave, Sengoku took the information about Lin Chen that Garp gave him. Is there only 2 words in the name? Lin Chen, were your parents killed by pirates? These damn pirates. As he spoke, Sengoku looked out the window with gloomy eyes. Roger, look at what you call the Great Pirate Era, how many more people will have their families destroyed because of your words. Chapter 3. Marine School. Advertise here. The next day, under the leadership of Garp, Lin Chen finally arrived at the legendary Marine School. Marine School is the cradle of Marine officers. Former Marine Admiral Zephyr is the chief instructor and has trained today's Marine 3 admirals and many vice admirals. Garp, why do you have time to come to my place today? Ha ha ha, Zephyr, I found a good seedling in East Blue and sent it to you. You have to give me a good training. Lin Chen, here, this is Zephyr instructor, and I will be your teacher from now on. Hello, Teacher Zephyr. Seeing Lin Chen's well-behaved look now, Garp's mouth twitched, wondering why he wasn't so well-behaved when he saw him. Looking at the old man with purple hair and dark sunglasses in front of him, Zephyr's arms were intact at this time and he didn't look as violent as he would in the future. But thinking about Zephyr's tragic experience in the future, Lin Chen sighed in his heart. If given the chance, he would still be very willing to change Zephyr's fate. After saying goodbye to Garp, Lin Chen also met his classmates under the leadership of Zephyr. Looking around, there were basically no people familiar to Lin Chen, but 2 people caught Lin Chen's attention. A male soldier with white hair and an extremely arrogant expression, and a female soldier with long legs, long pink hair, aloof and beautiful at the same time. Lin Chen looked at these 2 people and roughly knew their identities. Smoker, Logia smoke fruit capable person, future Marine Vice Admiral. Hina, cage fruit ability user, future Marine Rear Admiral. Of course, these are only the achievements of the 2 of them in the future. Now they are just Marine soldiers at the same time as Lin Chen. After Zephyr saw that everyone had arrived, he also introduced Lin Chen to everyone. Let me introduce to you, this guy is Lin Chen, brought here by Vice Admiral Garp. When they heard Zephyr say that Lin Chen was brought here by Garp, everyone looked at Lin Chen with faint disdain. Lin Chen had nothing to do with Zephyr's tricks and could only look at Zephyr frequently to vent his dissatisfaction. Zephyr acted as if he didn't see Lin Chen's eyes, and let Lin Chen join the team for training without changing his expression. Who. At this time, the scorching sun was hanging high in the sky, and the sweat on Lin Chen's forehead kept flowing down his cheeks. Occasionally, a few drops flowed into Lin Chen's eyes, making the eyes that could not be opened even more sore. That brat at the back. Are you running so slow because you're not planning to eat later? Whoever hangs me at the back of the team again will give me 10 extra laps later. Hearing Zephyr's voice, Lin Chen speeded up a bit even though he didn't know if he was talking to himself. Unexpectedly, there was no Marine 6 styles on the first day of training, but only running 100 laps on the playground. Lin Chen, who is now 12 years old, has not received much training, and those who can enter Marine school have undoubtedly gone through layers of selection, and their physical fitness is naturally not comparable to Lin Chen's. 98.99.100 inches. At this moment, Lin Chen's eyes were so blurred by sweat that he could not see clearly ahead. He only relied on the last bit of perseverance in his body to support himself. The other students on the playground were silently watching the kid who finished last. Not bad. I was able to complete the 100 laps with perseverance. It doesn't matter if I can finish the run. I didn't get in through the back door through Vice Admiral Garp. HMPH. Marine doesn't need this kind of trash. It's better to go home as soon as possible and don't tarnish the word justice. Smoker and Hina looked at each other and didn't think much of Lin Chen. At most, he was just an ordinary person with good perseverance. Both of them have demon fruit power, and he is still a rare Logia fruit. As long as he can successfully graduate from Marine school, the future will be bright. Naturally, a small role like Lin Chen would not attract the attention of the two of them. Finally, Lin Chen collapsed to the ground after completing 100 laps of the task, his eyes darkened and he passed out. Seeing this, Zephyr looked at the students around him. Disband. After seeing all the students around him leaving, Zephyr slowly came to the side of the unconscious Lin Chen, and Garp didn't know when he walked out from behind. Zephyr, how are you? It looks like you trained him hard. Well, Zephyr shook his head, looked at the unconscious Lin Chen on the ground and said hesitantly. Garp, I won't lie to you. Lin Chen does have amazing perseverance, but his talent can only stop at Commodore. In the future, he may be promoted to Rear Admiral based on his qualifications, but I'm afraid it's hopeless to go one step higher. Quote. Nani, is Lin Chen's talent so bad? He shouldn't be the same as Aokiji and the three of them. In the future, not to mention Admiral, there will at least be Vice Admiral. Did I really make a mistake? Do you think those 3 guys from Aokiji are everywhere? There have only been those 3 guys for so many years. This year is not bad. There is a kid from Logia, but it is hard to say whether they can reach Admiral in the future. Furthermore, those 3 boys are freaks. Have you ever seen any student from Marine school struggle as hard as Lin Chen in this most basic physical training? If the most basic physical training cannot meet the requirements, Marine 6 styles in the future, I'm afraid it will be even harder to learn. After listening to this, Garp stared blankly at Lin Chen on the ground, and then sighed for a long time. Oh, that's all. If this is really the only thing Lin Chen can do in the future, then let me protect him. As long as I am still alive, no one can hurt him. After that, Garp picked up Lin Chen who was unconscious on the ground and left the place. Lin Chen, who was in a coma, naturally didn't understand the conversation between the two. Of course, even if he understood it, Lin Chen would probably just smile indifferently. It's okay, Lousy is worried. That night, Lin Chen lay on the bed and slowly opened his eyes. After feeling the pain all over his body, he felt very helpless. Sure enough, my physical strength is still too weak. Holding back the pain, Lin Chen sat up and swept away the food in the kitchen. On the way back to the room, Lin Chen looked at little Ace sleeping soundly and smiled, and then his eyes became firmer. When he came to the room, Lin Chen sat on the bed, endured the physical discomfort and began to refine the chakra. Although Lin Chen's body was almost exhausted after a whole day of physical training, it did play a huge role in tempering Lin Chen's spirit. At this time, I had just finished eating, and the chakra was refined more than twice as fast as before. Host. Lin Chen. Skill. 3 Body Technique LV1. Great Fireball Technique LV1. Phoenix Fairy Fire Technique LV1. Bloodline. Magatama Sharingan. Points. 0. Looking at Sharingan, a Magatama in his blood, Lin Chen knew it in his heart. I'm afraid this is the advantage brought by the blood of the Uchiha clan. A night of silence. When the white dew in the morning slowly wetted Lin Chen's clothes, Lin Chen also opened his eyes, and a black Magatama slowly turned in his red pupils. Huh, I'm almost recovered. Is this also a bonus brought by the Uchiha bloodline? If Garp and Zephyr knew that Lin Chen's body had almost recovered at this moment, they would probably have to overturn yesterday's view. This kid is a monster. Chapter 4. Practical Sparring. Huh, this kid can still come here. Yesterday, I saw him looking like he was about to die, and yet he was able to come here for training today. Maybe I pretended to show it to Mr. Zephyr. We'll see how he pretends when we start training. Lin Chen glanced at the discussing students, didn't care, and went straight to Zephyr. Student Lin Chen requests to return to the team. Zephyr looked at Lin Chen with some surprise, especially the package on Lin Chen's lower back. He looked at it a few more times, which was a bit interesting. Permission to return to the team. Yes. Finding an empty seat, Lin Chen ignored the noisy sounds around him and looked ahead quietly, waiting for Zephyr's instructions. Seeing the behavior of Lin Chen and the people around him, Zephyr smiled quietly and changed his view of Lin Chen slightly. Today, we will change the training method to actual combat. You must know that pirates cannot be defeated just by relying on strong physical strength. The experience of actual combat will be useful in your future battles with pirates. Huge effect. Hearing Zephyr's voice, all the students put on masks of pain and wailed. You must know that you can't let go of actual sparring under Zephyr's eyes, otherwise Zephyr will personally sparring with you, which also results in a few lucky people losing their arms and legs in every actual sparring session. Of course, the best person in actual combat will also receive his own reward. After hearing Zephyr's words, everyone stopped complaining, but they didn't see the strange smile on the corner of Zephyr's mouth. In actual combat, you can choose your opponent freely, but remember not to make a dead move until the point is reached, and at the same time, don't let go, otherwise you will be responsible for the consequences if you are discovered by me. Hearing Zephyr's voice, everyone present turned their attention to Lin Chen. Since you are free to choose your opponents, why not pick the weak ones and pinch them first? After feeling the gazes around him, Lin Chen felt very helpless. Why do old men like Zephyr and Garp like to do weird things? Complaining in his heart, Lin Chen felt the disdainful eyes around him and felt a faint anger in his heart. The oldest one here is only 2 years older than me. They are all teenagers, so I must be afraid of you. Besides, he is a ninja, and ninjutsu is his specialty. Touching the package on his lower back, Lin Chen felt a little more confident. He came well prepared today. Hey, boy, I'm going to operate on you first. Guys who go through the back door are the most annoying. Lin Chen turned around and saw a boy with a watermelon hair looking at him fiercely. People around him couldn't help but regret that they didn't tell Lin Chen about the fight first, but they were also watching, wanting to see how Lin Chen would make a fool of himself. Snort. Lin Chen looked at the guy who was the first to challenge him, with a trace of ridicule on his lips. Ziguato was immediately furious when he saw Lin Chen's appearance. Damn it, I screamed. I'm not interested in knowing the names of weaklings. Before the watermelon-headed boy could finish speaking, Lin Chen rushed over first. This move also made people around him feel incredible. They didn't expect Lin Chen to dare to strike first. The watermelon-headed boy saw Lin Chen rushing towards him. After a brief panic, he immediately reacted and punched Lin Chen in the face. Seeing the punch coming straight at him, Lin Chen dodged his figure, came to the boy's side, and punched out. Unexpectedly, the boy with the watermelon head did not change his expression after receiving this blow. He gritted his teeth and strangled Lin Chen tightly with one hand, and struck Lin Chen with an elbow with the other hand. Seeing this, Lin Chen smiled softly, and with a bang, a burst of white smoke appeared, and everyone present was shocked. The watermelon-headed boy was seen holding a branch and staring blankly at Lin Chen, while the people around him were also whispering. What move is that? Is it paper arts? How is it possible? There is white smoke. Could it be demon fruit power? Only Zephyr, who was very knowledgeable, looked at Lin Chen and remained silent. The moves the kid used look like ninjutsu, but does the kid picked up by East Blue know the ninjutsu that people from the New World know? Garp, how many things are you hiding from me? Seeing the shocked expressions of the people around him, Lin Chen gradually became restless in his heart, formed a forbearance seal, and with a bang, 2 Lin Chens appeared on the field. Ignoring the discussions around them, the 2 Lin Chens rushed towards Watermelon Head at the same time. Seeing 2 Lin Chens rushing toward him, Ziguato looked embarrassed, but he didn't stop moving his hands. Knowing that he would lose if he waited any longer, he immediately picked 1 Lin Chen and rushed over. The moment the two came into contact, there was another familiar bang. The watermelon-headed boy stared blankly at the air in front of him, and at the same time, Lin Chen's voice came from behind. You guessed wrong. A kunai was pressed against the watermelon-headed boy's neck. Seeing this, the watermelon-headed boy immediately said, I surrender. Putting away the kunai, Lin Chen walked up to Zephyr somewhat proudly, with a happy face. Seeing the extremely arrogant Lin Chen in front of him, Zephyr didn't say anything. He touched his chin, looked at the students on the field and said, in the next match between Lin Chen and Smoker, Smoker happens to be the strongest player in your class. If Lin Chen can defeat him, you will naturally not say anything more. Hearing Zephyr's words, Lin Chen was so shocked that his jaw dropped. Are you kidding me? That's a Logia fruit user. He hasn't mastered Armament Haki yet, so what can he use to fight him? Thinking of this, Lin Chen immediately showed himself in front of Zephyr that he was exhausted and unable to do what he wanted, and wanted Zephyr to take back the order he just gave. Unexpectedly, Zephyr looked at Lin Chen and said wickedly, of course, you can also refuse. The consequence will be that I will come to spar with you, and I will not be lenient. After hearing Zephyr's words, Lin Chen also knew that he couldn't pass this level, so he could only bite the bullet and fight Smoker. Smoker on the side was already impatient. Since teacher Zephyr personally asked him to fight Lin Chen, he also wanted to see how strong Lin Chen was, and he needed to be the touchstone. Looking at the arrogant-looking white-haired kid across from him, Lin Chen raised his eyebrows. There was someone who could pretend better than me. Hey, Lin Chen, right, I heard that you disdain to know the name of the weak. I am the same. Remember the name of the person who defeated you. Smoker will also become the Marine Admiral's man in the future. Looking at Smoker in front of him, Lin Chen naturally responded. White-haired kid, remember, I will be the man who punches Zephyr and kicks Garp in the future. People around him couldn't help but burst into laughter after hearing this. Even Zephyr covered his forehead and didn't know what to say to Lin Chen. Although his words were extremely arrogant, Lin Chen's eyes gradually became serious, and Sharingan slowly appeared at some point. Lin Chen's intuition told him that this battle would be difficult. However, poor physical fitness does not mean poor physical skills. Logia does not necessarily need Armament Haki to attack, he can still attack it himself. Chapter 5. Superior Skills. Now that the two sides have begun to compete, they naturally no longer hold back. Boy, watch your move, White Fist. Seeing that Lin Chen was unmoved, Smoker directly used his Devil Fruit ability. His arms turned into white smoke and attacked Lin Chen. However, in Sharingan's world, everything is slowed down a lot, including Smoker's White Fist. Whoosh! Lin Chen turned sideways and threw his shuriken at Smoker to test it. Lin Chen's heart sank as he watched the shuriken pass through Smoker's body. Sure enough, this guy has mastered elementalization. This piece of iron can't deal with me, boy. With that said, Smoker rushed towards Lin Chen with another white fist. Lin Chen relied on Sharingan's powerful dynamic vision to dodge the attack while thinking about countermeasures in his mind. Seeing that Bai Quan still couldn't touch Lin Chen's clothes, Smoker was also very angry at this time. Boy, do you only know how to dodge? A real man will fight me 1v1. The people around him were very surprised when they saw that Lin Chen was able to dodge so many attacks. Regardless of physical ability, this agility alone was enough to suppress them all. Hina, who was standing quietly in the crowd, looked at Lin Chen with a little more curiosity. Unlike this group of students, Zephyr saw the clues about Lin Chen early on. Strange eyes, are they really demon fruit power? Putting aside the doubts in his heart, Zephyr continued to look at the duel on the field, and made up his mind to ask Garp if he knew about it in the evening. Damn it, White Snake. Finally, Smoker, who had repeatedly failed to hit Lin Chen, changed his move. Smoker's arms were stretched out, and the thick white smoke chased Lin Chen like a snake. It looked like he would not give up until he caught up with Lin Chen. Flaw found. At the same time, Lin Chen, who had been observing for a long time, finally discovered Smoker's flaw. Whenever Smoker released a move, whether it was White Fist or White Snake, his body remained in place and his attention was always focused on his arms. Then as long as you get close to him unprepared and release fire style, you will definitely be able to severely damage Smoker. Thinking of this, Lin Chen paid attention to the White Snake behind him while constantly attacking Smoker with his shuriken. At the same time, Smoker began to run around Smoker quickly on the field. Smoker, who had been focusing on Lin Chen, naturally did not notice the extremely fine threads at the end of each shuriken. After a while, there were scattered shurikens stuck in various places on the field. Although it looked chaotic, in fact, if you observe carefully, you will find that each shuriken is stuck in a slightly higher place, and none of them is in the ground. On the ground. Looking at Smoker who was getting taller and taller, Lin Chen also had a faint smile on his lips. Although White Snake's skill was indeed very powerful, he almost caught Lin Chen countless times. But this skill also has a fatal flaw. The white smoke formed by the two long white snakes will create a blind spot in the field of vision. It's now. Looking at the oncoming white snake in front of him, Lin Chen turned around and looked behind him for the same reason. While the two white smokes were intersecting, Lin Chen could even see Smoker's smile that had appeared on his face in the small gaps in the white smoke. I finally caught you, let's see how you still run away. Boom. A branch appeared. Damn it. Why did you forget that move of his? Seeing Lin Chen disappearing, Smoker immediately dispersed the white snakes and looked for Lin Chen. What people didn't expect was that two Lin Chens ran out at the same time, one on the left and one on the right. Seeing two Lin Chens appear at the same time, Smoker did not hesitate, and the two white snakes chased after each other. This trick is of no use to me. Soon White Snake caught up with the two Lin Chens. What they didn't expect was that the two Lin Chens disappeared after being attacked by White Snake. One of them, Lin Chen, threw a shuriken at Smoker before disappearing. There's no way it's all fake. When people around saw this, they started talking a lot. Unfair. Unfair. Lin Chen will only run away, so they will never be able to tell the winner. I thought Lin Chen had some tricks up his sleeve, but it seems like these are the only escape tricks he can use, and they're nothing more than that. Hina looked thoughtfully at the scattered shurikens not far away. As a demon fruit power, she was able to discover some details outside the field that others could not discover. Hina was a little more curious about Lin Chen. The woman's intuition told her that all this was still in Lin Chen's plan. Where is the person? Smoker on the field didn't realize that he was so meticulous. He was focused on the battle and just wanted to know where Lin Chen had gone. Whoosh! A shuriken was fired at Smoker. Smoker frowned and ignored the shuriken. Being able to elementalize, he has ignored this patch. I heard you were looking for me, Smoker. Lin Chen's deep voice behind him sounded in Smoker's ears, which made Smoker break out in a cold sweat. When? But this was not the case in the eyes of the people around him. Everyone was so shocked that their mouths opened. In their eyes, the fake Lin Chen threw a shuriken at Smoker before disappearing. When Smoker's elementalization ignored the shuriken that had passed through Smoker's body suddenly turned into a shuriken again. Got Lin Chen. So what if you are behind me? I can transform into elements. HMPH. Fire style. Great fireball technique. Ignoring Smoker, a huge fireball erupted from Lin Chen's mouth and hit Smoker's back of the head. Feeling the heat wave at the back of his head, Smoker did not dare to resist. He turned into elements and flew upward to avoid it. Even so, his body still ate a large piece of great fireball. At this time, he looked at Lin Chen with a dark face, and the uniform on his body was burned and damaged a lot. Ahem, so what if you hit me? I can transform into elements and fly in the air. You can't attack me without learning moonwalk. Before Smoker could finish speaking, he saw Lin Chen's hands starting to form seals, and at the same time, he could hear Lin Chen's disdainful ridicule. Idiot. Before Smoker could react to what was going on, Lin Chen's voice came. Fire style. Phoenix fire technique. At the same time, Lin Chen drew out the last kunai and accurately shot Smoker in the air. There was no doubt that the shuriken passed through Smoker and continued to fly into the sky. But several small fireballs quickly dispersed around Smoker, and then countless lines of fire suddenly ignited in the air and flew towards Smoker. The source was the kunai that passed through Smoker. Seeing countless flames coming towards him, Smoker was startled in the air and looked around. He didn't know when there were countless tiny threads around him. And he happened to be at the intersection of these thin lines, and then watched the flames attack him at a fast speed. Smoker was swallowed up by the flames before he could escape. Before falling into coma, Smoker had only one thought in his mind. This guy is so strong. Chapter 6. Hold your thighs tight. At this time, there was no sound on the field, and everyone stared blankly at Lin Chen, who was still standing there. Why are you still standing there? Why don't you help me treat the wounded quickly? Zephyr's screams and curses were heard in the distance, and the others woke up from a dream and quickly carried Smoker down. Those iron pieces were deliberately passed through Smoker's body. When Smoker wasn't paying attention, the silk thread behind the iron pieces had quietly blocked the sky to form a huge braided net. Finally, Smoker was deliberately pushed back and flew into the sky. He thought he escaped, but in fact he just entered another cage. Finally, in conjunction with your last weapon, the source of the thread was shot at Smoker. The surrounding fireball followed the thread and easily chased Smoker and defeated him. It looks very easy. In fact, every step is linked to each other, especially with Smoker hanging in the middle to make him relax his vigilance towards you. You come up behind him smoothly. Every step is in your calculation. It looks like it is yours. You are extremely resourceful, but actually it comes from your absolute confidence in your own strength, am I right? Hearing a female voice analyze all his actions, and the analysis was completely correct, Lin Chen was also frightened and broke into a cold sweat. Turning around, he saw a girl looking at him cutely. She had pink hair and delicate facial features. Although she was still young, she could tell that she was going to be a beautiful child. My name is Hina. I don't know if I'm right, Lin Chen. Ha 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 ha, it's not that powerful. It's all coincidence. Of course Lin Chen would not take the initiative to admit it, he could only answer with a smile while touching his head. Hina was obviously dissatisfied with Lin Chen's answer and looked at Lin Chen angrily with her mouth bulging. Okay, brat, what are you still pretending to be here? A huge force hit Lin Chen on the back, almost breaking Lin Chen apart. Ahem, Teacher Zephyr, my body feels weak just after the battle. Okay, don't think I didn't see it. In fact, Lin Chen's body was indeed close to overdraft. It was not the ninjutsu that consumed the most chakra, but the fact that Sharingan was activated throughout the battle. I am afraid that the most I can put into my current chakra is one great fireball. If Smoker can hold on for a little longer, I may be the one who collapses. Hina, you have almost finished training today. Go back and have a good rest. Let those unlucky ones who accidentally lost their hands and feet rest for a few days before reporting back. Yes. Looking at the graceful back of the girl going away, Lin Chen heard Zephyr's cold voice again. Okay, she's gone far away, why don't you still look at her? If you want to see her, why don't I go and get her back for you? You can go and stay with her tonight and have a good look. Seeing Zephyr's smiling expression, Lin Chen was helpless. He had no intention of doing so at all. He was just a little surprised that Hina could see his fighting strategy. Don't be ridiculous. No matter what, I defeated Smoker and I can be considered the #1 in this marine school. I don't have to give me a few days off. Oh, you dare to call me number one here, I'm here. I'm looking for a beating. Ah. On the way home, Lin Chen covered his head and complained to Garp that Zephyr's attack was too dark, and he punched a student who had just finished fighting. Do you know how psychologically damaging this is to a 12-year-old child? Garp listened to Lin Chen's complaints, picked his nose and didn't care. I didn't expect you to be able to defeat that brat smoker. I really didn't expect it. Ha ha ha, Uncle Garp, see if I can give you a little reward for making you look good. What do you want, kid? No more, just 50 million belly. What, 50 million? Do you think Bailey was brought by the strong wind? Seeing Garp's furious look, Lin Chen also felt doubtful. You are the marine hero Vice Admiral Garp. You have captured so many pirates worth over 100 million or even over 1 billion, but you don't even have 50 million. After hearing Lin Chen's question, Garp answered with a serious face. Boy, remember, Marine is not a pirate hunter. If you catch a pirate, you won't be able to receive a bounty. There will only be a small reward. I have only saved 1 billion Baileys over the years. After hearing Garp's words, the little juju in Lin Chen's heart disappeared, and he began to think about the 1 billion belly. 1 billion Baileys is 100,000 points. It can directly open Mangekyo and learn a few powerful ninjutsu. Not to mention Admiral, Vice Admiral level strength should be achieved. Looking at Garp's sandbag-sized fist, the bad thoughts that had just arisen in Lin Chen's heart disappeared again. Oh, let's think about it long term. Hey, boy, come with me today to see the world. Hearing Garp's words, Lin Chen was a little confused. Seeing the world, what is the world? The confused Lin Chen was pulled by Garp and came to a door in a blink of an eye. Looking at the marshal's office sign on the door, Lin Chen's mind suddenly shut down. Boom. Garp, how many times have I told you not to come in without knocking? Ah, Sengoku, that's it. It's just a door. Next time I'll dismantle the door so that everyone can come in without knocking. As he spoke, Garp took out the donuts in his arms and found a seat to sit down, completely ignoring that Sengoku's face was already dark. Oh, what a cute kid. Garp, is this your son or your grandson? Puff. Garp almost choked while eating a donut. Hey, Xiaohei, how could you say such a thing? Does he look like my child? Maybe it's Garp's illegitimate child outside. Son, come here and let grandma take a look at you. Lin Chen turned his head and looked around. A kind-faced old lady was looking at him gently. Through her weather-beaten face, she could still see the stunning look of her youth. Her eyes were bright and radiant with wisdom. She was the Vice Admiral of Marine's think tank, Crane. But Grandma, I asked Mr. Garp to call him uncle. Hearing Lin Chen's childish reply, he immediately laughed so hard that he couldn't stand upright. Everyone else in the office also had a smile on their lips, and the atmosphere became much more lively. Ha 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 ha, I didn't expect that Garp came in the same period as us but was a generation shorter. From now on, Garp, you will also call me uncle. Sengoku looked at Garp with a smile on his head, and heard Lin Chen's innocent voice again. As that uncle with the goatee over there, Uncle Sengoku. Sengoku, who was halfway laughing, suddenly stopped laughing and turned to look at the kid in front of him with a malicious smile. Hey, Sengoku, what's your expression? Don't scare Lin Chen. From now on, Lin Chen, just call me Aunt. Okay, Auntie. The more he looked at Lin Chen's obedient appearance, the more he liked it. You are about the same age as me and Guillaume. Come to my house for dinner later and you two will get to know each other. Garp, who had been silent all this time, was relieved. When he came here, he was still worried that Lin Chen would not be able to have a good relationship with them. Now it seems that he is not so worried. After all, he is the child he brought back. If he keeps hiding it all the time, it will easily make people suspicious. Fortunately, if we establish a good relationship now, we will have room to turn around if something happens in the future. Chapter 7 Seed. Okay, kid, let me introduce you. Although Lin Chen knew who was in the office at this time, he still pretended to be ignorant and waited for Garp's introduction. This is Sengoku, Marshal Marine. Well, you can call him uncle from now on. This is Crane Vice Admiral, Marine's Brain Trust, your aunt. These three are the current Marine 3 Admiral, Akainu, Kizaru, and Aokiji. Garp was wondering what Lin Chen should call these three people. Before he could think of it, Garp heard Lin Chen speak. Hello, Brother Akainu. Hello, Brother Kizaru. Hello, Brother Aokiji. I am Lin Chen, my younger brother. Akainu, Kizaru, Aokiji, Garp, Sengoku, Crane. Hearing Lin Chen speak, he recognized his elder brother, and the third admiral also had black lines on his head. Lin Chen doesn't care what they think in their hearts. This is the thigh for the future. If you don't hug her now, then you will hug her. Lin Chen had a fight with Smoker at Marine School today and won. Garp said something casual and innocuous, but it shocked everyone. Smoker, I seem to have some impression that he is the strongest student of this Marine School. He is a user with Logia Fruit and Smoke Fruit abilities. I am a little curious about how Lin Chen defeated him. Seeing everyone casting curious glances at him, Lin Chen's face froze, he scratched his head in embarrassment and said, it's just a little trick. Several people looked at Lin Chen and continued to ask, "Can you show me?" Lin Chen looked around the surrounding environment and said, "I can't use it here." Everyone turned to look at each other and led Lin Chen to the playground of Marine School, along with Zephyr. Seeing several people looking at him seriously, Lin Chen was a little panicked for no reason at this time, but he still used his ninjutsu one by one. Fire style, Great Fireball technique. Fire style, Phoenix Fire technique. Then he performed the three-body technique. Seeing Lin Chen who could transform into someone else at will, everyone was shocked and speechless. Sengoku. Although it can be changed at will, you can still find clues by using observation haki. Seeing this, everyone used the observation color detection one by one, and they all discovered the weakness of the transformation technique. Lin Chen couldn't do anything about it. The level 1 three-body technique could only do this. Maybe others at level 10 couldn't detect it. Hey, boy, there are still those eyes you had during the battle. Stop hiding them. Lin Chen was speechless when he heard Zephyr's voice. He also thought about hiding something, but he didn't expect that Zephyr would find out. Sharingan was then shown to everyone. My eyes slow everything down, which is why he couldn't catch me during the fight with Smoker. After hearing Lin Chen's words, the last doubt in Zephyr's mind disappeared. I watched Lin Chen use some fancy moves, but they were actually quite lethal. This kind of thing was just like Wanokuni's ninjutsu. But Lin Chen himself didn't want to say anything, and several people stopped asking. Sengoku. Zephyr, what is your evaluation of Lin Chen's combat? Zephyr thought for a while, looked at Lin Chen and said to everyone. You are quick thinking and resourceful. If you can train him well, you will definitely become an elite vice admiral. Even an admiral is not impossible, but the hope is too slim. Everyone was shocked when they heard Zephyr's words. It is not easy to reach vice admiral, let alone admiral. Garp picked his nose, but he didn't feel any trouble in his heart. How could his eyes be wrong? Lin Chen would definitely be trained by him to become a good marine in the future. Okay, today's events are only known to a few of us. Let Lin Chen be trained by Zephyr. With a wave of his hand, Sengoku decided Lin Chen's path. As for whether Lin Chen would rebel in the future, Marine and others didn't think much about it. Mutiny Marine. Let's wait until Lin Chen can beat Garp. On the way back, he pulled Lin Chen and talked about how Gion was doing, with an expression that looked promising to both of you. As for why he is obsessed with Lin Chen, on the one hand, Lin Chen's potential is acceptable, and on the other hand, Lin Chen's appearance is indeed outstanding. Although Lin Chen himself doesn't pay much attention to his appearance, his white, tender and little boy look really makes people like him a lot. And Tsuruko is no stranger to Gion Lin Chen, the future marine female swordsman, admiral substitute, codenamed Momosugi, and the long-legged, fair-skinned and beautiful marine Aikika. After shutting out Garp who wanted to come in for a meal, he called out Gion and Huhei also explained. I'm going to a meeting. You two should get to know each other first. When I come back, I'll cook for you. After that, he went out and left. Lin Chen was helpless when looking at the girl in front of him who was obviously only 2 years older than him, but much taller than him. People in the world of pirates are all very tall. At the age of 12, I was already over 1.6 meters tall, but at the age of 14, Gion was already close to 1.8 meters, a full head taller than me. With He's confession, Gion was very curious about Lin Chen, and his affection for this cute little boy increased a lot. My name is Gion, and I am the younger sister of Sister He. What is your name? My name is Lin Chen. I call him he and aunt, so I'll call you sister-in-law too. Hearing Lin Chen's sinister voice, the 14-year-old Gion frowned and wanted to hear such a cute little boy call him aunt. No, there is not much difference between us. From now on, you can call me sister and I will protect you. As he spoke, he pulled Lin Chen to his side. There was a trace of flush on the girl's face. This was the first time she saw such a good-looking boy. Gently sniffing Lin Chen's good smell, Gion, who had never gone out to meet other people of his age, became deeply curious about Lin Chen and wanted to explore his secrets. Lin Chen also looked at the tall girl next to him, with her slender legs, slim figure, white neck showing a little bit of pink, and a proud face with the pride of a girl and a hint of shyness. 2 seeds were quietly planted in their hearts, waiting for the day they would take root and sprout. Chapter 8. Individual Determinations. At the dinner table, Lin Chen was eating chicken drumsticks while quietly looking at Gion opposite. He looked at Lin Chen, took a sip of tea, and said lightly, Xiao Lin Chen, why don't you sit next to Gion to eat? Look at your eyes. Lin Chen's face froze when he heard his words, and he quickly started cooking. Pooch. Seeing Lin Chen's dull look at this moment, Gion on the side also laughed. Lin Chen looked at Gion who was smiling in a daze, and did not look back until the girl glared at him with a red face. He looked at Gion and Lin Chen with a smile on his face. His gaze made the cheeky Gion blush, while Lin Chen pretended to be nonchalant. After the meal, he also joked to Lin Chen. Okay, Xiaochen, I won't let you stay tonight. You can come and play with Gion tomorrow. You are still too young now. I will leave Gion to you when you grow up. Sister, what are you talking about? Who would fall in love with that guy? Guion said, feigning anger while secretly watching Lin Chen's reaction. Lin Chen's face paused when he heard this, and then he said with a playful smile, okay, I'll wait. After that, Lin Chen quickly ran away before the two of them could react. Guion was a little embarrassed and angry when he heard Lin Chen's words, but looking at his back, he still felt a sense of expectation in his heart. When he returned home, he happened to see Garp holding Ace and carefully coaxing him to sleep. Seeing this, Lin Chen felt much calmer. Without Garp's reminder, Lin Chen tiptoed to Ace's side. Looking at Ace's sleeping appearance, a sense of satisfaction arose in his heart. It would be nice if Sister Rouge was still here. Hiding the regret in his heart and the sadness in his eyes, even Garp didn't notice anything strange about Lin Chen at this time. The two of them quietly came to the second floor after confirming that Ace had fallen asleep. In the room, Lin Chen looked at Garp in front of him and said, I don't want to study these things in school all the time, I want to practice. After hearing Lin Chen's words, Garp glanced at Lin Chen a few more times, but he didn't expect this kid to have such determination. Why? Whether you're dueling in school or training, you can't become a strong person by working behind closed doors. I want to go out and fight with pirates. Garp was silent for a while, and he was not in a hurry to refuse Lin Chen. In his opinion, it was good that Lin Chen was willing to do this, but Lin Chen's strength seemed to be very weak, and he was not as strong as those vicious pirates who were wandering on the edge of life and death. It's too early to fight. And Lin Chen also has his own plan in mind. He knows that Garp will go to East Blue every year in the future. He only needs to kill more pirates in East Blue during this period, and then transform into other people to collect the bounty. You can get the much needed berry. Okay, I promise you, but this will all have to wait until you have mastered Marine 6 styles first. Since you are willing to train yourself, I will not help you then. Everything has to be done by yourself. Garp's answer made Lin Chen stunned, and a warm current flashed through his heart. Okay, it all depends on Mr. Garp's arrangement. Then I won't disturb you. You have a good rest and call me if you need anything. Lin Chen closed his eyes and lay on the bed to rest, but his mind was already focused on the mall. Thinking that he still didn't know his chakra attributes, Lin Chen bought some papers for testing the chakra attributes. As expected, there were only 2 attributes, fire and thunder. It seemed to be due to the influence of Uchiha's bloodline. Host: Lin Chen. Skills: 3 Body Technique LV2, Great Fireball Technique LV2, Phoenix Fire Technique LV2. Ability: 1 Magatama Sharingan, Uchiha Bloodline. Points: 0. Rubbing his eyes, Lin Chen did find that the levels of several skills had become LV2. It seems that skills can not only be upgraded through points. More training and use can also increase the level. Thinking about characters like Garp and Sengoku, they can stand at the top of the world without so-called points, which shows that daily training is also very important. Smiling somewhat self-deprecatingly, Lin Chen finally discovered his dependence on the system. He had been focusing on how to obtain points to upgrade skills, thus forgetting the most basic training. We need to train more starting tomorrow. Use Sharingan's powerful dynamic vision to master Marine 6 styles first, and try to go to sea early to collect berry. Secretly making up his mind, Lin Chen no longer hesitated and immediately refined chakra under the moonlight. As for Garp, who was in his room, his mind was elsewhere. Akainu. Mr. Garp, although this sentence is very disrespectful to you, I still want to ask, what will you do if one day, Lin Chen is an enemy of Marine, or even an enemy of the world government? Garp looked at Akainu angrily. Hey, are you questioning the person I brought back? He will definitely not do it. I will train him to become an outstanding Marine. You will all see him become an outstanding Marine. Akainu. But what if this day really comes? Mr. Garp, don't forget that he has embarked on such a path. Sengoku, Crane, Zephyr, Akainu. Shut up. When the 3 Sengoku heard Akainu mentioning him, it was too late to stop them. Aokiji and Kizaru on the side also remained silent at this time. Garp was a little stunned. Long, Monkey D. Dorag, his proud son, is now the #1 criminal in the world government. And he also told Sengoku that he would train Dorag to become an excellent Marine. No one spoke, and the meeting was eerily quiet. After a long time, the sluggish Garp puffed up his chest again. If one day Lin Chen becomes an enemy of Marine, I will definitely catch him with my own hands. Chapter 9. 5 years later. Advertise here. Time flies by, and hidden in this calm environment is the coming trend. See Circle Calendar 1505, Marine School. Moonwalk. Finger pistol blazing flame. White Tomb. Seeing Smoker transforming into white mist and attacking him, Lin Chen smiled knowingly. Seeing this familiar smile, Smoker was shocked. When he saw Lin Chen's dark arm hitting him, he was even more shocked and opened his mouth wide. Boom. It hurts. Lin Chen, when did you master Armament Haki? Ha ha ha, what a coincidence, just last night. Upon hearing Lin Chen's answer, Smoker immediately got up from the ground like a little fanboy and ran over to ask. Is there any technique or not? I still can't understand the essence of Armament Haki that Mr. Zephyr said. Lin Chen patted his ears and said nonchalantly. There are no skills. I figured it out just by thinking about it last night. It just so happened that you asked me to practice sparring today. I'll give it a try on you first. I have to thank you. Smoker was a little silent when he heard Lin Chen's words. In the past few years, the gap between Lin Chen and himself has become wider and wider. At this time, Lin Chen has mastered Armament Haki again, and he is no longer his opponent at all. Okay, Gion will bring me food later. I won't tell you anymore. I'll see you in the afternoon. After that, Lin Chen waved to Smoker and left. I really envy that guy. Even though he is strong, he is also handsome. Even Gion comes to bring him food every day. Smoker turned around and saw that it was the watermelon-headed boy who was defeated by Lin Chen back then. The two looked at each other with wry smiles on their faces. Lin Chen was walking on the road humming an unknown song and was very happy. 5 years have made Lin Chen more handsome now, and his slender and tall figure has already surpassed that of Gion. Since he was too lazy to cut his hair and thought it was too long, Lin Chen also tied his hair up slightly, which made him look a bit nondescript. Host. Lin Chen, 17. Skills. 3 Body Technique, LV7, Great Fireball Technique, LV7, Phoenix Fire Technique, LV6, Fire Extinguisher, LV6, Shadow Clone Technique, LV6, Marine 6 Styles, LV6, Chidori, LV5, Illusion Darkness Technique, LV5. Abilities. Taijutsu, LV5, Swordsmanship, LV5, Illusion, LV5, Armament Haki, LV1, Observation Haki, LV1, 3 Tomo Sharingan. Combat Strength. Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral. Points. 111,000. The system has also undergone some changes in the past 5 years, and I have only changed a few ninjutsu in the past 5 years. Shadow Clone Technique was the first one he switched to. It was for no other reason than it was very suitable for giving him extra training, but he would be exhausted every time. After knowing his own shortcomings 5 years ago, Lin Chen stopped relying too much on the power of the system and began to focus on training his own abilities. With Sharingan, Lin Chen quickly learned the Marine 6 styles, and at the same time studied swordsmanship with Gion. Relying on the Shadow Clone Technique bug, Lin Chen's training results in the past 5 years can be said to have completely surpassed others. In addition, he followed Garp back to East Blue from time to time and killed many pirates, secretly changing a lot. Bounty. Last night, he successfully understood Haki taught by teacher Zephyr. Now Lin Chen can say that he can become a strong player even without relying on the system. Lin Chen. Here. Hearing Gion's call, Lin Chen's face unconsciously showed a smile. A lively and cute girl in the distance was watching her waving her arms, holding a food box in her other hand. 5 years later, Gion already had the feeling of being unparalleled in the future. At this moment, he looked at Lin Chen with wide eyes, full of unconcealable love. Sister Gion, what's delicious today? I made your favorite chicken drumsticks for you with my own hands. I'm not welcome. Looking at Lin Chen who was eating a lot of food on the side, Gion grabbed the corner of his clothes with one hand and turned his hair uneasily with the other. I heard you will graduate tomorrow. Yeah, Sister Gion, remember to come to my investiture ceremony tomorrow. Lin Chen, you've been single for the past 5 years, right? Lin Chen was a little stunned when he heard Gion's question. Looking out of the corner of his eye, Gion's face was already red. Forget it. Forget it. What happened? At this time, Lin Chen's heart was beating wildly, and he even stuttered a bit while speaking. No. It's nothing, I just asked. At this moment, even Gion began to stutter. The two shy boys and girls had strange thoughts at this time, and the air was filled with pink charm. After Lin Chen had eaten and drank enough, the two of them returned to normal. Gion whispered before leaving. I will go to your investiture ceremony tomorrow. Lin Chen was stunned when he heard Gion's answer, and mustered up the courage to hold Gion gently in his arms. The girl only resisted for a moment and stopped moving. She let Lin Chen hold her in his arms and buried her head in Lin Chen's chest. Her face was pink and she was really cute. Looking at the shy Gion in his arms, Lin Chen didn't know where to put his hands. He gently hugged Gion's waist. Looking at Gion who didn't dare to look at him, Lin Chen's heart was already excited. Konami jumped out, lowered his head and kissed Gion's forehead gently. Gion's body trembled when he felt Lin Chen's kiss, but he still didn't react. It seemed that he acquiesced in Lin Chen's move. But Lin Chen didn't dare to make any other moves. The two hugged each other for a while before reluctantly parting. Looking at Gion's watery eyes when leaving, Lin Chen was also thirsty, and it wasn't until he rushed to the well that he calmed down a lot. And all these actions of the two people were witnessed by a girl. Hina also walked out slowly from behind a wall carrying a food box. The girl's fingers turned white when pressed, and there seemed to be sadness brewing deep in her eyes. However, Hina's face was still very calm, and only her slightly trembling body seemed to declare the girl's unwillingness. Boy, you were really good just now. You hugged Gion in front of so many people, and you were not afraid of them beating you up. Zephyr on the side looked at Lin Chen talking and laughing loudly, his eyes glanced in Hina's direction and he sighed inexplicably. Anyway, you will graduate tomorrow. If you want to beat me up, you have to find me. By the way, Mr. Zephyr, what position do you think I can get tomorrow? Zephyr touched his chin, thought for a while and said. The 3 admirals in the past were all awarded the rank of rear admiral, and the others were senior colonels and lieutenant colonels. As for you, you may be a senior colonel or a rear admiral, but you will definitely not be a lieutenant colonel. In other words, as long as the rear admiral is granted, it is a certainty that the admiral will be granted in the future. You still have a long way to go, Admiral. Stop bragging. Under the moonlight, Lin Chen quietly walked home along the path. As he expected, the group of people took advantage of tonight being the last night to quietly block him and try to beat him up. Fortunately, I had predicted it and used a shadow clone to trick him, and I quietly went home through this path without anyone noticing. Humming a little tune, Lin Chen began to plan how to use his points. Tomorrow he would be awarded a medal and go to sea. He would also become a real marine general. It was time to improve his strength. Chapter 10. Honored to go to sea. Advertise here. The breeze is warm and the sun is shining brightly. The huge marine playground was now packed with people. Several marine senior executives were sitting on the stage, waiting for the award ceremony to begin. The marines in the audience were whispering, waiting for the results of this award. I wonder if there will be students like Marine 3 Admiral this time. How is it possible? It's hard to meet a strong person of that level for decades. That's not necessarily true. I heard that there is a Logia fruit user in this generation, and he might become a Marine Admiral in the future. Haven't you ever heard of Lin Chen? That is the #1 genius in Marine now. He is the adopted son of Mr. Garp. I heard that the Logia user has not been able to defeat Lin Chen even once in the past 5 years. What? When did Mr. Garp have an adopted son, and is Lin Chen really that strong? He is simply a monster. How could Haki defeat a Logia fruit user without Armament Haki? Listening to the endless noise in the audience, Zephyr frowned. Quiet. The award ceremony for Marine School's current students begins now. Everyone in the audience slowly calmed down after hearing Zephyr's voice, waiting for the students to appear. Lin Chen looked at the students around him. At this time, no one walked out, so he was waiting for him to go out first. The corners of his mouth twitched, and Lin Chen was not polite and walked out in stride. Anyway, the people on the stage are all very familiar to each other, and I won't get stage fright. Sengoku, Garp and others looked at Lin Chen walking out with confidence and couldn't help but nod. He is a good prospect. Glancing down inadvertently, Lin Chen saw Gion among the crowd at a glance. The first time he saw Gion, Lin Chen's heartbeat couldn't help but speed up, and his eyes were a little evasive, so he didn't dare to look at Gion. After a series of speeches by leaders and representatives, it was finally time for the final award ceremony when Lin Chen almost fell asleep. After discussion by Marine Senior Management and Lin Chen's outstanding performance, we are now awarded the Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral. Awarded to Smoker, Colonel Hina Naval Headquarters. Awarded to Reg, Kato, Naval Headquarters Lieutenant Colonel. I hope that all students will do their best, remember the knowledge learned at Marine School, and fight against pirates. Marshal Sengoku will now give a speech. Sengoku cleared his throat, looked at the future Marine mainstay on the stage, and said with a serious expression. No matter where you are in the future, you must be worthy of the word justice behind you. Looking at Lin Chen, who was conspicuous in the crowd, Sengoku felt a little moved and said. Lin Chen, tell me what your justice is. Lin Chen was stunned for a moment, but Lin Chen still said firmly. Reporting to the marshal, the justice I believe in is fair justice. Everyone is fair. There will be no more oppression and killing in the world. Even if it cannot be completely fair, I will do my best to complete it. Hearing Lin Chen's answer, the Marines in the audience were all excited and applauded. However, Garp, Sengoku and others do not think so. Alas, there is no fairness in this world. I hope Lin Chen will not ruin his own justice. When he is older, he will not be so naive. Hina looked at Lin Chen's back thoughtfully. Fair justice. Lin Chen would naturally not know all this. At this time, the medal ceremony was over and he also received his marine uniform. The word justice on the cloak behind him made him look particularly handsome. Even Garp couldn't help but sigh when he saw Lin Chen's appearance. The kid still looks a bit human, tisk. Ignoring Garp, Lin Chen asked Garp while trying to see if the clothes fit. Didn't you say there is another reward for me? Yes, I forgot that you weren't, ha 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 ha. As he spoke, Garp threw a box over. Lin Chen shook it and it was quite heavy. He opened it and saw an exquisite long knife placed in front of him. What's this? Garp picked his nose and said nonchalantly. Sengoku and I dug this out for you from the marine warehouse. I heard it's a powerful swordsman. Don't you guys also use swords? Give it a try. Lin Chen pulled out the knife. The slender blade was extremely white, with a scorching luster faintly reflected on it. He carefully input a trace of thunder attribute chakra, and the long knife suddenly exploded with thunder. Jingjae. What? Lin Chen looked at the long knife in his hand and said again. I said he will be called Jingjae from now on. Garp didn't care after hearing this. Call me whatever you like. After a pause, Garp continued. Tomorrow you go to East Blue with me and check back. Wiping the long knife in his hand, Lin Chen didn't care about Kaido. The next day, Lin Chen and Gion hugged each other and said goodbye before boarding their own warship. After kissing Guillaume goodbye that day, the relationship between the two of them had become much closer invisibly, although neither of them had spoken to confirm their relationship yet. But the two of them had already done a lot of simple cuddling. Wait me back. Looking at Guillaume watching him leave on the shore, Lin Chen also expressed his reluctance. After all, he might not see each other again for several months after leaving. Okay, brat, look at how beautiful you are, why don't you dare to confess your love to Guillaume? How unbecoming is it not to give someone a name? Looking at Garp on the side, Lin Chen said helplessly. I'm still young, I'm only 17 this year. By the way, Mr. Garp, I am the Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral. Why am I not assigned an adjutant? Garp glanced at Lin Chen and said lightly. Isn't your adjutant Guillaume? It's just that Suru doesn't want Guillaume to have too close contact with you right now, for fear that it will be bad for both of you. Let's wait and see when you can become Marine Vice Admiral. After listening to Garp's words, Lin Chen understood. Both he and Guillaume are still young, and now is the golden age to improve their strength. In the world of One Piece, only when you have strong strength can you think about other things. If you indulge in love at this age, I am afraid it will have bad effects on the future growth of both people. I see. Heading towards East Blue. Yes. Watching the helmsman slowly sailing out of the ship, Lin Chen was full of expectations for the ace he was about to see. Although I meet him once or twice every year, I still hope that my nephew Lin Chen can stay with me all the time. After returning to the room, Lin Chen took out a stack of reward orders from the drawer and looked at some familiar people above, with a faint smile on his lips. Gecko Moria, a shadow fruit user and one of the 7 warlords of the sea, has done many evil things, killing civilians and turning them into zombies, and stealing Wano Kuni's treasure Autumn Water. He is extremely powerful and has a bounty of 320 million berries. Chapter 11 Hidden Danger. Advertise here. East Blue, Windmill Village. Uncle Lin Chen. Looking at Ace and Luffy running towards him and throwing themselves into his arms, Lin Chen also smiled a little. Taking out the food and toys prepared for the two little guys, Garp on the side saw some dissatisfaction. Don't you two call me grandpa when you see him. What's so good about this guy? You like him so much every time. Lin Chen turned around and smiled. I guess they would like you if Mr. Garp would stop hitting them both with his fists. The two little guys looked at Garp with bright eyes, expressing their agreement. Lin Chen is here. We will have dinner here at noon. When Lin Chen heard the sound, he saw a middle-aged woman with brown hair holding a cigarette and looking at him with a smile. Aunt Dayton, that's really hard on you. It's not hard, it's not hard. Lin Chen finally came here. You must try Aunt's craftsmanship. At the dinner table, Dayton also learned that Lin Chen had successfully graduated from Marine School and became a Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral. Aunt Dayton, let's take Ace Luffy out for a walk first. After the meal, Ace and Luffy rode on Lin Chen and Garp's necks one by one and walked toward the village. Luffy, who do you want to be in the future? Grandpa, I want to become the Pirate King. Damn it, I must train you to be a Marine like Lin Chen. If you dare to become a pirate, I will break your legs. But it will hurt so much if your leg is broken, Grandpa. Then don't become a pirate. Listening to the grandfather and grandson arguing with each other, Lin Chen also asked Ace. Who does Ace want to be in the future? Well, I want to be as good as my uncle. What about being more specific, like becoming a powerful Marine? Don't. I miss my parents. It was obviously Marine who killed my parents. Uncle, why do you still want to be a Marine? Listening to Ace's answer, Lin Chen was also a little silent. When you grow up, my uncle will tell you that today we go to the pub to drink. Men should drink. A child's mind always jumps very quickly. After a while, Ace forgot about everything just now and only thought about what wine was. Lin Chen, who didn't care at all whether he would lead his nephew into harm's way, just wanted to run away and get drunk. He also missed his sister. When Lin Chen approached the tavern, the mess in front of him attracted his attention. Hey, do you guys really have no money? It seems that you untouchables won't hand over your money without seeing blood today. Hearing these vicious words, Lin Chen frowned slightly. When I walked into the tavern, I saw a bandit with a vicious face about to slash a mother and daughter with a knife. The bandit boys around them beat everyone in the tavern to the ground and extorted money. Don't hurt my mother. Magino, stand behind, it's dangerous. The daughter of the mother-daughter pair was looking at the bandit leader with an angry look on her face. The mother behind her was extremely frightened but still tried her best to pull her daughter into her arms. The little girl is quite pretty. Let's go back with me and become his wife. As he spoke, the bandit stretched out his hand to catch the girl. Just as he was about to catch the girl, a faint male voice came from the tavern. Ace, look at it. No matter what kind of person you want to be in the future, you must be a good person. A good person will be like my uncle. The bandits in the tavern suddenly looked towards the door, but Ace was the only one standing there in confusion, and then the wailing voice of his boss was heard. My hand. At this time, the bandit boss's hand that had just reached out to the little girl was cut off at the root, and a lot of blood spurted out and scattered on Lin Chen's snow-white uniform. Ignoring the wail of the bandit behind him, Lin Chen squatted down and looked at the strong and courageous little girl in front of him with a sunny smile. What's your name, kid? You were very powerful just now. You protected your mother. The little girl was originally a little afraid of Lin Chen, but when she heard Lin Chen's words, her eyes were filled with the joy of being recognized, and she said happily. My name is Mariejois. Thank you, brother, for saving me, but the bandits are very powerful. Brother, you must be careful. Brother is a marine, a righteous marine. After saying that, Lin Chen had already stood up and turned around to look at the bandit in front of him indifferently. Looking at the huge word justice on Lin Chen's back in front of him, Mariejois felt a strange feeling in his heart. It feels so good to be protected. Damn it, kids, please kill him. But boss, he's marine. What about marine? He's alone. Let's kill him together and then kill this whole village. As he spoke, the bandit boss swung his steel knife and slashed at Lin Chen. Seeing such a low-level attack method, Lin Chen didn't even raise his eyelids and gently raised his finger. Finger pistol streamer. In order not to destroy the tavern and to prevent Ace and Mariejois from seeing too much blood, Lin Chen tried his best to use the simplest and neatest moves. A trace of lightning passed through the bandit boss, and then the same move hit the other bandits, and all the enemies were eliminated in an instant. Seeing that the enemies were dealt with, Lin Chen clapped his hands and took Ace out of the tavern to notify the people on the warship to come down and deal with all these bandits. Well, big brother, what's your name? Mariejois' voice came from behind, and Lin Chen turned to look at the girl, revealing a pair of white teeth. Lin Chen, Marine Rear Admiral, on the way, Garp said seriously. Lin Chen, although I approve of your approach, you must know that your identity is first and foremost a marine. When dealing with these enemies, you should focus on capturing them rather than killing them. But it's not an exaggeration for these scum to die. Looking at the young and energetic Lin Chen, Garp sighed. I don't know, but if something like this happens again in the future and you kill and deal with it without authorization and it is reported to the world government, even with Sengoku and I, it will be hard to explain to the government. But aren't we Marines just to punish evil and protect civilians? If we don't even have the right to execute such heinous criminals, aren't we Marines just dogs of the world government? Lin Chen, don't say this kind of thing again. In the future, you will understand that everything is out of your control. After listening to Garp's words, Lin Chen also calmed down and fell silent. He did not take into account the particularity of this world. If he continues like this, he will inevitably cause dissatisfaction with the world government. Lin Chen clenched his fists, feeling a little unwilling. World Government, Celestial Dragons, This Twisted World. Chapter 12 The Violent Ape Gesha. Advertise here. After staying in Windmill Village for half a month, Lin Chen still embarked on the return journey. When parting, Garp chose to stay and decided to teach the two of them something, and Lin Chen was very relieved about this. At this time, Lin Chen was tasting oranges in a village, which was the same orange village where Nami was located in the original book. So, you really don't want to return to Marine? Looking at the red-haired woman in front of him, Lin Chen felt a little sad in his heart. The former Marine Major, Belmere, now adopts two little girls and lives in seclusion in Orange Village. I'm so sorry, Lin Chen Rear Admiral, I still have two children to raise. In this case, I won't force it anymore. This is 10 million berries. Just think of it as Marine's compensation for you. Looking at the 10 million berry left by Lin Chen, Belmere did not refuse. In recent years, it was really difficult to raise two children by himself. The 10 million berry can buy more orange trees, and there will be more orange trees in the coming year. More income. Thank you, Lord Rear Admiral. Please take some oranges with you before you leave. Hearing this, Lin Chen smiled at Belmere, Nami, who was still young at this time, and Nokigao. Then I won't be polite. Back on the warship, Lin Chen felt extremely relaxed at this time, but it was as if something important had been forgotten. He couldn't remember what it was after thinking about it, so he simply continued to lie on the deck and bask in the sun. Bulu Bulu. After taking out the phone bug, Lin Chen, who was lying on the lounge chair to bask in the sun, stood up and stretched. Moxie Moxie, what's wrong with Marshal Sengoku? Lin Chen, why don't you learn well and just follow Garp to learn all the bad habits? Have you forgotten your mission? Lin Chen felt a trace of cold sweat on his forehead after hearing Sengoku's words. Of course I know. We are still on the way now. Don't think I don't know that you and Garp went back to your hometown to play for half a month. I won't tell you any more nonsense. Gesha the ape is now in East Blue Log Town. Smoker and the others are watching carefully. Come and support them quickly. Yes. After hanging up the phone, Lin Chen remembered his mission before leaving, which was to capture Gesha the ape, Zone the ape fruit power user and the captain of the ape pirates, with a bounty of 120 million berries. Full speed to Log Town. Watching the soldiers on the ship quickly carry out their work, Lin Chen, who was somewhat idle, continued to lie on the deck chair and bask in the sun. It's still more comfortable to lie down. East Blue, Log Town. Damn it, hasn't that guy Lin Chen arrived yet? Smoker was holding a cigar in his mouth and was very angry when he saw Gesha acting recklessly in the tavern. Hina on the side could only comfort Smoker. The headquarters said that Lin Chen was already on the way. Unexpectedly, the headquarters misjudged Gesha's strength. We can only say that Gesha was hidden too deep. I didn't expect that he turned out to be the zone ancient diamond fruit planter. Damn it, if I can learn Haki, why should I wait for Lin Chen to support us? The gap between us is too big. Looking at Smoker, who was full of powerlessness at this time, Hina was also a little silent. Yes, when I was in school, I thought the gap between a few people was not that big. After graduation, the gap suddenly became apparent. This is the insurmountable gap between geniuses and ordinary people. I dropped my ice cream. At this time, a little girl on the road attracted the attention of the two of them. At some point, Gesha had already walked out of the tavern with his men, but there was still a little snow-white cream on Gesha's leg. A small little girl was squatting on the ground looking sadly at the ice cream that fell to the ground. Gesha's expression was already dark and scary. Seeing this, the little girl's parents quickly picked up the little girl and kept apologizing to Gesha. My lord, I'm really sorry. My little daughter is ignorant. Please let her go. Unexpectedly, Gesha smiled at this moment and said words that made people feel cold. It's okay, the kid is still young, just be more careful in the next life. As he spoke, he waved his huge arm and hit the little girl. Seeing this situation, Smoker knew that if he didn't take action, it would cause irreparable consequences. White fist. After punching Gesha back, Hina quickly stepped forward and took the little girl's family to a safe place. It's dangerous here. Get out of here quickly. After leaving the instructions, Hina immediately rushed into the battlefield to help Smoker. Gesha looked at the two marines in front of him with disdain in his eyes and a hint of ridicule on his lips. I've felt rats following me since I entered Logue Town. It turns out it's you two marines. Are marines just rats who can only hide their heads and tails? Today Lousy is going to enter the Grand Line, so I'll take you too. Let's do the surgery first. Remember my name, Lousy is Gesha the Violent Ape. Don't be too arrogant. I am Colonel Smoker of the Naval Headquarters. If you underestimate me, just stay here. Saying that, Smoker immediately rushed towards Gesha. Watching the two fiercely fighting together, Hina was not idle either. Looking at the remaining minions, a charming smile appeared on the corner of Hina's mouth. Hina is very angry, you should stay too, Chao Yuxian. Countless fences extend from Hina's arms to surround and capture the enemies in front of her. What's this? She is demon fruit power. Seeing that no one could break free from the group of people, Hina also breathed a sigh of relief. This way, I can spare my energy to fight Gesha with Smoker. Noticing that his men were all restrained for a moment, Gesha frowned and turned to look at Smoker and the two. Look, I've dealt with you two together. Ape form. As he spoke, Gesha's body began to grow in size, turning into an ape with scarlet eyes, and a dark luster faintly emitted from his arms. Taking out the seastone weapon he got when he graduated, Smoker was facing a powerful enemy, and the battle between the two sides was about to break out. Logue Town Port. Lin Chen scratched his head and looked helplessly at the deserted port. Is this how Smoker manages Logue Town? What if he is attacked by pirates? I will beat him up when I see him. When he came to the street, he saw that there was no one on the street, and when he heard what seemed to be a fierce explosion in the distance, Lin Chen also realized that something was wrong. Seeing a passerby Lin Chen who was walking in a hurry, he hurried forward to ask what happened. Colonel Smoker and Colonel Hina fought a big pirate to protect civilians, but now they seem to be in a tough fight and are about to lose. Listening to the passers-by's answers, Lin Chen's face gradually became heavy. You should appease the residents here and protect them from the aftermath of the battle. Giving an order to the marine behind him, Lin Chen's chakra lingered all over his body and he quickly rushed towards the center of the town. Looking from a distance, it looks like a stream of lightning. Chapter 13 Kilin. You two die. Lin Chen, who had just rushed into the battlefield, discovered that Gesha turned into a huge ape and kept attacking Smoker and Hina. Seeing the armament Haki attached to Gesha's arms, Lin Chen not only suppressed the two of them, but also understood the reason why Smoker couldn't beat him. Chidori. A harsh sound sounded, and at the same time there was a white lightning bolt on Lin Chen's hand. Seeing Lin Chen Gesha attacking him, he did not dare to be careless, especially the lightning in Lin Chen's hand. Gesha had a premonition that he would suffer considerable damage from this blow. Is everything okay? Putting the two people in an open place, Lin Chen breathed a sigh of relief after briefly checking the injuries. Although the two people were injured a lot, neither of them had fatal injuries. Hina said weakly. The headquarters misjudged Gesha's strength. He is Grandmaster Armament Haki, and he is the Zone Fruit, the Ancient Seed, and the Diamond Fruit. Lin Chen reached out and touched Hina's head, and looked at Smoker who was speechless and said. I understand, leave the rest to me. Standing up and looking sharply at Gesha, Sharingan slowly turned and looked at the ape in front of him who was much taller than him. Lin Chen decided to test his strength first. After looking around and seeing that there were no civilians staying here, Lin Chen was able to use his hands and feet freely. HMPH. Marine Rear Admiral, I didn't expect you to have any eyesight, so I'm sorry. Your strength should have made you famous in the Grand Line. Unfortunately, I won't let a pirate like you go out. I'm going to spend my next life in prison. Sharp teeth and sharp mouth, suffer death. Speaking of Gesha's preemptive strike, the huge ape body did not affect Gesha's speed. Seeing Gesha Lin Chen rushing towards him, he did not dodge, but also rushed forward with Armament Haki attached. The fists of the two people met. Lin Chen took a step back quietly. Gesha showed his fangs at this. Is this your strength alone? Marine Rear Admiral. Throwing his arm, his bones cracked, and ignoring Gesha, Lin Chen continued to rush forward and fight him with physical skills. The two of them punched hard and used all kinds of fighting skills. As a physical expert that Lin Chen encountered for the first time when he went to sea, this kind of person was most suitable to hone Lin Chen's combat experience. Although I could often spar with Zephyr, Garp and even the three admirals in Marine School, these were just point-to-point discussions. What Lin Chen needs is the training between life and death. Puff. The stomach was caught off guard by Gesha's punch, and a mouthful of blood spit out from his mouth. Lin Chen wiped his mouth. The clothes on his upper body had disappeared during the battle, revealing Lin Chen's strong upper body muscles. Seeing that Gesha in front of him was also out of breath, Lin Chen grinned. As expected of an ancient species, he was able to fight with me for such a long time, but it's time to end. Host. Lin Chen, 17. Skills. 3 Body Technique, LV7, Great Fireball Technique, LV7, Phoenix Fire Technique, LV6, Fire Extinguisher, LV6, Shadow Clone Technique, LV6, Marine 6 Styles, LV6, Chidori, LV5, Illusion Darkness Technique, LV5. Abilities. Taijutsu, LV6, Swordsmanship, LV5, Illusion, LV5, Armament Haki, LV3, Observation Haki, LV3, 3 Tomo Sharingan. Combat Strength. Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral. Points. 111,000. After seeing that his physical skills and Haki had been significantly improved, Lin Chen no longer hid his strength, and a powerful aura erupted from his body. Gesha looked at the young marine in front of him blankly. He was already a monster for being able to fight with the ancient self for so long. He didn't expect that he still had some strength left. Gesha couldn't help but shed a few drops of cold sweat when he saw this. Hina looked at Lin Chen, who was showing off his upper body and bursting out with extremely powerful momentum. His face was slightly red, but at the same time, he was looking forward to Lin Chen. At first, he and Smoker thought that Lin Chen was outmatched, and their hearts were in their throats. It wasn't until they fought for a while that they realized something was wrong. Lin Chen had never used his own sword and had some strange fire and lightning. Slowly pulling out Jingjae, an electric current suddenly surged on the long knife, and even the body was surrounded by a sizzling electric current. Seeing this state, Gesha Lin Chen did not dare to be careless. Armament Haki lingered all over his body and he was ready. Demon Fruit Power. As soon as this suspicion arose in his heart, he saw Lin Chen killing him instantly. This time Lin Chen no longer suppressed his own strength, and used full firepower to suppress Gesha throughout the whole process. So fast, so strong. The suppressed Gesha was very shocked at this moment. If he wasn't careful, Lin Chen would cut a scar on his body. Seeing Gesha covered in blood after being cut by him, Lin Chen looked at him indifferently. It's over, Gussie. Then he raised Jingjae, and Armament Haki lingered on the silver blade, turning it pitch black. Cut. A snow-white slash went straight towards Gesha, mixed with thunder attribute Chakra and Armament Haki, causing Gesha to be severely injured directly. Kneeling on the ground, Gesha covered the exposed wound on his chest, his eyes full of madness. Lousy as King Kong. As he spoke, Jexi's body, which seemed to be seriously injured just now, became huge again, and a huge chimpanzee stood in front of Lin Chen. Looking at the King Kong in front of him who was very similar to the one in the previous movie, Lin Chen frowned. It's just a little extra effort. Shadow Clone Technique. 3 clones appeared, and the 4 Lin Chens divided themselves into 4 corners and looked at the huge King Kong. At this time, Gesha could not fully control this strength, and his eyes were red and he seemed to have little consciousness. Fire Style. Extinguish the fire. Lin Chen didn't care what Gesha's current state was, and the 4 Lin Chens released Fire Style at Gesha together. The huge flames burned Gesha and scorched the hair on his body. The power of the 4 powerful fire extinguishers is comparable to S-class fire style ninjutsu, but apart from making Gesha look painful, it seems to have failed to cause fatal damage. Looking at Gesha who kept wailing, Lin Chen frowned. He was most annoyed by such a thick-blooded person. After feeling the surrounding air, due to the sweeping heat wave, a dark cloud gathered in the sky, and there was a faint flash of thunder. After twisting his neck, Lin Chen used moonwalk to reach the sky above Gesha's head. A faint drizzle began to fall in the sky, which extinguished the flames on the ground and also relieved Gesha's burns a lot. Looking at Lin Chen above his head, Gesha could feel that his body was rapidly recovering from his injuries, and he laughed. Ha 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 ha, don't you have any other moves? It seems that God is also helping me. Wait until I kill you and then finish slaughtering this town. After looking at the arrogant Gesha, Lin Chen looked up at the sky and raised his arms. Chidori, Kirin. Gesha's eyes were now white as snow, and his pupils reflected the only flash of lightning in the sky covered with dark clouds. That is the Shinigami sickle that comes to harvest one's own life. Chapter 14 Developing Ninjutsu. Advertise here. After the battle, the huge Logue town square was in a mess. Looking at the half-dead and unconscious Gesha who had been criticized by Kirin, Lin Chen curled his lips. Just this, I can still hit 10 more. After settling the injured smoker and Hina, Lin Chen took over the aftermath of Logue town. The aftermath of this battle destroyed a large area of houses, which was also a large expense. Lin Chen planned to escape before the people came to him for money, so he asked Smoker to help him with the aftermath. Lin Chen relaxed after explaining everything to his warship and the garrison in Logue town. After stretching, Lin Chen just wanted to sleep first. After knowing that Gesha appeared in Logue town, he rushed over all the time. After experiencing this battle again, he was now sleepy and came to the marine station to look for him. I went into a room and lay down to sleep. Just remember that there seemed to be a familiar female voice before going to bed. Seeing Lin Chen who rushed into her room and fell asleep like a dead pig, Hina's heart was beating fast. He was obviously still changing his clothes and checking his injuries, but this guy barged in without saying a word and fell asleep, which really shocked him. If Lin Chen knew it, he would definitely complain. He really just saw this marine office empty. Who knew that Hina would actually live in the office? But there is nothing that can be done about it. There are only a few women in marine, and there are not many dormitories allocated. As the second in command of Logue town, Hina is better off living directly in the office than living outside, where she can also handle affairs more conveniently. Looking at Lin Chen's sleeping profile, and then looking at some wounds on Lin Chen's naked upper body, Hina showed a distressed expression. He took out the quilt and covered Lin Chen with it, then silently looked at Lin Chen's sleeping face and didn't know when he would fall asleep too. Early morning, Lin Chen felt extremely difficult to breathe at this time, as if a huge stone was pressed on his chest. Opening his eyes, Lin Chen found that Hina had been sleeping on top of him for some time. He glanced at Hina's sleeping posture, and Lin Chen quickly averted his eyes and did not dare to look again. This guy has such a big heart. He is disheveled in the office. But no wonder he felt like there was a stone pressing on him just now. I didn't expect Hina to hide it. After thinking about the indescribable thing he had just inadvertently glanced at, Lin Chen couldn't help but look at Hina in a different light. Without waking up Hina, Lin Chen quietly came outside, moved his body a bit and found that the injury was almost healed. Report to Lin Chen Rear Admiral, regarding the fact that many ordinary people's homes were destroyed in yesterday's battle. You see. I understand. I will tell Smoker truthfully about this. After all, he is the actual manager of Logue town. After sending away Marine who came to report, Lin Chen immediately ran to the port to gather the soldiers and prepare to escape. By the way, there are also the imprisoned members of the Tyrannosaurus pirates. Hey, are you going to leave like this? Lin Chen turned around and saw Smoker, who was on crutches and holding a cigar in his mouth, looking at him with an unhappy expression on his face. You stayed in Hina's room all night last night, and you just left without saying a word. When the surrounding soldiers heard this, they turned their heads away and stopped looking and listening. Hey, Smoker, don't slander me. I didn't know that was Hina's room, and I just slept. What? You actually slept with Hina? You just left like this, you scumbag. White fist. Looking at Smoker who was so angry that he even threw away his crutches, Lin Chen knew that he couldn't explain clearly. He dodged the incoming white fist and quickly told his men to leave the port quickly. You will know if you ask her yourself, and I left you a bill. Yesterday, many houses were destroyed. In order to give you a chance to perform, you must repair the houses of ordinary people. Listening to Lin Chen's voice, Smoker was so angry that he almost bit his cigar. Lin Chen, don't come to Logue town again. After bidding farewell to his two friends, Lin Chen relaxed. First, he went to the room to find a suitable set of clothes. Then Lin Chen took a look at the members of the Tyrannosaurus pirates. After confirming that everything was correct, he returned to the deck. Continue to bask in the sun. Brumuru. Taking out the phone, Lin Chen pondered his emotions for a while before answering the call. Hey, is this Marshal Sengoku? Ahem. Lin Chen, are you okay? Sengoku frowned and looked at the phone bug in his hand, showing Lin Chen's weak appearance. Marshal Sengoku, although I don't know why the Gesha the ape is actually the Gesha the Vajra, but in order to complete the mission assigned by you Marshal at all costs, I defeated the Gesha even though I was seriously injured, and I am returning, ahem. Sengoku was shocked when he heard Lin Chen's description. You return to the ship immediately and let the ship's doctor treat you first. It was our mistake this time. We didn't expect Gesha to hide his strength in East Blue. We were careless. Seeing that Sengoku didn't seem to understand what he meant, Lin Chen made his coughing sound worse again. Ahem, Marshal Sengoku, you see that I have worked so hard for Marine, and even now I am seriously injured, shouldn't there be some reward? Okay, we will reward you when you come back. Lin Chen breathed a sigh of relief when he heard Sengoku made a promise, as expected of me. Marine on the ship saw his parents openly cheating and asking for rewards. Kakuzu couldn't help but twitch. At this time, Lin Chen was thinking about one thing, developing ninjutsu. That's right, Lin Chen found that after he became proficient in using ninjutsu, he could derive some moves, and there was no need to go to the mall to exchange for ninjutsu. As seen in the battle with Gesha, Lin Chen's original intention was to use the powerful fire to extinguish the air to heat the surrounding air, causing the air to rise to form convection to summon dark clouds and thunder, and then use the Chidori to pull the thunder and lightning in the atmosphere to form a unicorn. This is exactly the same as the animation that Lin Chen saw in his previous life, except that geniuses like Lin Chen can naturally use it after understanding the principles. He stood up and came to the side of the boat, looking at the endless sea. Lin Chen gathered the Chidori in his hands, looking at the distance and constantly feeling the flow of chakra, coupled with the slashing in swordsmanship and the understanding of haki. After a long time, Lin Chen waved his hand towards the sea, and a long beam of lightning shot out and exploded on the sea surface. Countless fish with their belly turned over suddenly appeared. Host. Lin Chen, 17. Skills. 3 Body Technique, LV7, Great Fireball Technique, LV7, Phoenix Fire Technique, LV6, Fire Extinguisher, LV6, Shadow Clone Technique, LV6, Marine 6 Styles, LV6, Chidori, LV5, Illusion Darkness Technique, LV5, Lightning Style Kirin, LV1, Chidori Spear, LV1. Abilities. Taijutsu, LV6, Swordsmanship, LV5, Illusion, LV5, Armament Haki, LV3, Observation Haki, LV3, 3 Tomo Sharingan. Combat Strength. Marine Vice Admiral Substitute. Points. 111,000. Seeing the S-level ninjutsu Kirin and the A-level ninjutsu Chidori Sharp Spear among his skills, Lin Chen showed a smile. If this method is feasible, then he can save a lot of points. Chapter 15, A Wave of Consumption. Advertise here. Somewhere on the Grand Line. Lin Chen Rear Admiral, another pirate ship was spotted ahead. After hearing the report from his subordinates, Lin Chen frowned. Since entering the Grand Line, he has encountered 2 to 3 pirate ships every day. At the same time, pirates could be seen randomly during the supply process along the road. Even if Lin Chen would deal with it after seeing it, the number of pirates made Lin Chen feel a layer of gloom. Seeing the pirate ship in the distance, Lin Chen used moonwalk to get over the pirate ship, leaving the pirates on the ship speechless in shock. Boss, there's Marine in the sky. What's going on in the sky? Lousy is a big pirate with a bounty of 50 million. Listening to the noisy sound below, Lin Chen didn't talk nonsense. A powerful fire extinguisher directly caused the entire ship to burn. The rest of the pirates jumped into the water to escape, even the captain just now was no exception. Back on the ship, Lin Chen explained to his men. The old rules are that if you have money, you can continue to jail me, and if you don't have money, I'll kill you. But the cells on the warship are almost full. Then let them pay from those who have already paid. You will still take 10% of the money they handed in. Yes. Points. 136,000. Along the way, Lin Chen would catch pirates whenever he saw them. First, he would leave a portion of the treasure on the pirate ship to his men, and the rest would be converted into points. At the same time, the pirate would have to pay a sum of money when he was imprisoned. It was called service fee. As for those who have no money, only the fish in the sea know where they have gone. These pirates have done many evil things, and Lin Chen will not feel any burden if he kills them. Similarly, after his subordinates accepted this batch of money, they did not think there was anything wrong with Lin Chen's actions. Wrong. Looking at the increasing points, Lin Chen decided that it was time to spend a lot of money. I am afraid that after returning to the headquarters this time, he will send more Grand Line or even New World tasks. With his level of combat power, traveling to the 4 seas is really a waste of combat power, especially in this era of great pirates. While browsing the mall, Lin Chen found that the products seemed to have become more comprehensive. His eyes focused on several ninjutsu and abilities. These ninjutsu made Lin Chen a little excited. Forbidden Technique Reanimation Jutsu, 30,000. A-level ninjutsu 8 Inner Gates Technique, 10,000. S-level ninjutsu Flying Thunder God Technique, 20,000. Mangekyo Sharingan, 50,000. Senju Family Constitution, 50,000. Looking at these products, Lin Chen's mouth was watering. Impure World Reincarnation can resurrect my sister Rouge. With 8 inner gates, I can explode into leapfrog battles at any time. Flying Thunder God can make me invincible. Not to mention Mangekyo, I have been using my 3 Magatama for several years. The physique of the Senju family can greatly increase their chakra, and they can also use wood style. After hesitating for a moment, Lin Chen only exchanged 2 ninjutsus, 8 inner gates and Flying Thunder God. If he could digest these 2 ninjutsus, it would not be too late to learn other ninjutsus. Skills are more important than too many. A complex space knowledge appeared in his mind, and it took Lin Chen a while to understand the Flying Thunder God technique. 8 inner gates was much simpler, and Lin Chen understood it after a while. After a while, Lin Chen decided to use points to improve his abilities. He had never used this function before. Upgrade physical skills and sword skills to level 7. Improve Armament Haki and Observation Haki to level 5. At the same time, upgrade all LV1 skills to level 4. After the 64,000 points were deducted, Lin Chen felt that his body suddenly became light and uncontrollable. I don't know how long it took before I woke up from that mysterious state. When I looked at my panel again, I saw that it was completely different. Host. Lin Chen, 17. Skills. 3 Body Technique, LV7, Great Fireball Technique, LV7, Phoenix Fire Technique, LV6, Fire Extinguisher, LV6, Shadow Clone Technique, LV6, Marine 6 Styles, LV6, Chidori, LV5, Illusion Darkness Technique, LV5, Lightning Style Kirin, LV4, Chidori Spear, LV4, Flying Thunder God Technique, LV4, 8 Inner Gates, LV4. Abilities. Taijutsu LV7, Swordsmanship LV7, Illusion LV5, Armament Haki LV5, Observation Haki LV5, 3 Tomo Sharingan. Combat Strength. Marine Admiral Substitute. Points. 42,000. Seeing his strength, Lin Chen was a little disappointed. He thought he could reach the Admiral level this time, but in fact, he still had a lot on his mind. At the same time, Lin Chen made a comparison of combat power. If he wanted to reach Admiral's combat power, he would probably need to have at least level 8 physical skills, as well as a Grandmaster 2-color Haki. Above the Admiral, the strength below the 4 Emperors is probably double level 8 in physical swordsmanship or fruit ability. To reach the level of the 4 Emperors, you need to be at least level 9. These can be seen through the points required for upgrading. Each upgrade after level 7 requires 50,000 points. Shaking his shoulders, Lin Chen left several Flying Thunder God marks on the ship and continued to adapt to the new ninjutsu. The Marines on the ship were speechless when they saw Lin Chen teleporting away. They didn't expect that their boss had such strength at such a young age. At the same time, Lin Chen was also thinking about who was faster, his Flying Thunder God or Kizaru's Sparkling Fruit, and he made up his mind to compete with Kizaru after returning to the headquarters. Report Lin Chen Rear Admiral. Another pirate ship was spotted ahead, but the flag seems to be that of Moria, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Do we want to detour? Lin Chen raised his eyes, and there happened to be someone who could test his current strength. Detour. Why detour? Since he is a pirate, do you care if he is the 7 warlords of the sea? Bring the ship closer to me. Standing up and looking at the thriller bark in the distance, Lin Chen's eyes gradually turned sharp. He had not forgotten that Moria liked to kill people and turn them into zombies. It just so happens that Wano Kuni's national treasure Chushui is at his place, so he can use it as his own money. Similarly, someone on the ship where Moria was on also discovered Lin Chen's warship. Master, a marine warship was spotted heading towards us. A sailor was trembling and reporting to Moria, who was 7 meters tall. After hearing the report from his subordinates, Moria had a cruel look in her eyes, licked her lips and said excitedly. Marine. It just so happens that there are no Marines in my toys, so just kill them and make them my zombies, ha 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 ha. Chapter 16 Instant Kill Moria. Advertise here. Seeing the thriller bark getting closer and closer, Lin Chen did not hesitate and immediately pulled out the Jingjae and struck with a slash. Moria turned sideways to barely avoid Lin Chen's slash, and looked at Lin Chen solemnly. Boy, tell me your name. Since when has there been a strong person like you in Marine? Headquarters Rear Admiral, Lin Chen. Lin Chen's answer was clean and neat, and what followed was an even more fierce attack. Relying on his long hands, Lin Chen stood on the bow of the warship and kept slashing at Moria, feeling the power of the 7th level swordsmanship with all his strength. Seeing that the ship was already crumbling before she got close to Lin Chen, Moria felt very aggrieved. Damn it, do you dare to go to the island with me and have a fight? After looking at Moria's miserable scene, Lin Chen agreed to his request. Good. This is not because Lin Chen really sympathizes with Moria, but he is just afraid that the treasures on the ship will fall into the sea. Arriving on the island, Moria saw Lin Chen's shadow out of the corner of her eye, with an unnatural and evil smile on her lips. Boy, are you ready to Before Moria could finish speaking, he saw a long knife flashing with electric arcs flying toward him. It seemed to be of good quality. Ha 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 ha, you stupid guy actually threw his sword over. Are you scared by me? As he spoke, Moria stretched out his hand to hold Jingjae, completely ignoring the flashing arc of electricity above. Just when Moria was still happy that she had obtained a good knife, a faint white shadow suddenly appeared in front of her. Flying Thunder God Technique. What? Lin Chen came to Jingjae and stretched out his hand to hold the handle of the knife. Armament Haki covered the blade and struck Moria's chest with an upward strike from bottom to top. It turned out that Lin Chen had stamped the Flying Thunder God Technique on the hilt of Jingxi's knife. Receiving this sudden blow, Moria, worthy of being a 7 warlords of the sea, reacted instantly. Shadow Gun. At the same time, Moria quickly approached Lin Chen's shadow, trying to cut it off. But no matter how quick Moria's reaction was, she couldn't even see Lin Chen's shadow. She really couldn't see the shadow. Lin Chen used the Flying Thunder God Technique to avoid Moria's attack again. At this time, Lin Chen showed a faint sarcasm on his lips. 7 warlords of the sea is just that, it's time to end. Taking out the special kunai that he had prepared, Lin Chen quickly distributed each kunai in the battlefield. Holding the long knife in front of him, a few electric currents flashed across his body, and Lin Chen disappeared in just an instant. Almost at the same time, Moria felt a sharp pain in her back. When he just turned around and wanted to attack Lin Chen, but then he was attacked by Lin Chen again from behind. It's so fast, it's not just speed, it's space movement. After realizing that it was impossible for him to keep up with Lin Chen's speed, Moria changed his approach. Kagemusha. Flying bats. Watching Moria turn her shadow into many bats surrounding herself, and at the same time, part of her body turned into a shadow to avoid her attack, Lin Chen showed a hint of disdain on the corner of his mouth. Mobilizing a large amount of chakra in his body, Lin Chen looked at Moria who was standing still, and gently raised his hand and slid it in the direction of Moria. Lightning-style Kirin. Facing such a living target, Lin Chen did not hesitate to strike the unicorn to end the battle neatly. The gap between the two is still too big. Before, Lin Chen was just using it to test his own strength. You must know that in the original work, Aokiji can directly kill Ming Jie, who is also one of the Shichibukai, and Moria is not as strong as Ming Jie. It is naturally not difficult for Lin Chen, who has the strength of Admiral's substitute, to deal with Moria. Looking at the unconscious Moria who was electrocuted, Lin Chen was also thinking about another quasi-powerful person with thunder and lightning abilities, Enel, a person with thunder fruit ability. As for why he is said to be a quasi-powerful person, that guy clearly had Admiral potential, but was defeated by Luffy who had just left the sea. It was a waste of a good fruit. Putting the unconscious Moria in seastone chains and imprisoning her, Lin Chen also came to Moria's ship. Hand over all the valuables to me. A big pirate like Moria must have hundreds of millions of berries on board. Seeing Lin Chen, who looked more like a pirate than a pirate at this time, the remaining pirates did not dare to disobey and took out the items in the treasure house one after another. According to the old rules, 10% was given to his subordinates, and the rest went into Lin Chen's pocket. In total, there were almost 200 million berry. Just when Lin Chen was about to take away these gangsters, he accidentally found a little loli hiding in the crowd, looking at him in fear. At the same time, Lin Chen seemed to feel a trace of strange fluctuations. Observation Haki was deployed, and Lin Chen actually felt two people in the invisible air. Lin Chen drew out his saber and pointed it into the air, and said lightly. Do you want to come out on your own, or are you ready not to come out? No, we're coming out right now. As soon as he finished speaking, two pirates appeared and looked panicked. Looking at the pink-haired little loli in the distance, Lin Chen suddenly realized that these three people were the three weirdos under Moria in the future. The pink-haired little loli is the future Perona, a user with ghost fruit abilities. The obese man among the two transparent men is Hogbark, a doctor with superb medical skills but poor medical ethics. The large number of zombies is his masterpiece. The other one is Absalom, a transparent fruit user who looks quite weak. Lin Chen frowned and looked at the two pirates in front of him and asked. What's going on with that little girl over there? I really can't believe there is a little girl on your pirate ship. Where was she kidnapped from? Sir, you have wronged us. This was picked up by Lord Moria when we passed through an abandoned village yesterday. Okay, stop talking nonsense, prepare to stay in prison in the next life, and by the way, give me all the valuables you have. After scouring the two of them for their belongings, Lin Chen walked to Perona and squatted down, showing a warm smile. Little sister, do you want to go with big brother? Brother will buy you some candies. At this time, Lin Chen looked at Perona with a smile, looking like a big bad wolf trying to trick the little girl. Of course, under the influence of Lin Chen's sunny smile, Perona gradually let down her guard. I want to find my parents. Okay, let's go with my brother. He will take you to find your parents. Upon hearing that Lin Chen could find his parents, Perona took the initiative to hold Lin Chen's hand. Seeing this, Lin Chen also smiled and left with Perona. As for looking for Perona's parents, Lin Chen was certainly not joking. He would wait until Perona's village and inquire about it. After learning the reanimation jutsu, he would naturally be able to resurrect Perona's parents. Chapter 17 Adopting Perona. At the same time, Lin Chen also saw the zombie army under Moria. When destroying it, Lin Chen secretly preserved a part of the body tissue of Ryoma, the great swordsman of Wano Kuni, which will always be used in the future. At this time, Lin Chen was playing with two long knives in his hands on the warship, one was Jingjae and the other was Chushui. Both are one of the 21 skills of the Great Knife, and they are even more comparable in quality. Jingzi's body is slender, a bit longer than Chu Shui's, and the snow-white blade can help Lin Chen release the thunder attribute chakra very well. The black and purple blade of Chushui is a bit more mysterious. When the fire attribute chakra is injected into it, it suddenly becomes a strange long knife burning with flames. It seems like I'm going to use the double sword style in the future. Silently muttering in his heart, Lin Chen also had his own plan. Report to Rear Admiral that they have arrived at the abandoned village mentioned by the captured pirates. Looking up, a deserted village appeared in front of Lin Chen. He took Perona's little hand and walked into this mysterious village. After searching around, Lin Chen found no one and could only follow Perona to the place in his memory. Lin Chen felt a little silent when he saw the two bumpkins in front of him. My parents were sleeping inside and they couldn't come out. My brother helped me call them. No matter how Perona called them, they didn't wake up. Lin Chen squatted down and pretended to listen to the voices inside, and spoke to Perona seriously for a long time. But I didn't hear any sound inside, but I seemed to see Perona's parents leaving a message for you. Perona tried hard to keep her eyes open to see clearly what message her parents left, but she couldn't see it clearly from beginning to end. Lin Chen touched Perona's head and said, "This information can only be seen by adults. Perona's parents asked me to tell you that it will take a long time for them to come back after they went to a faraway place. You can see Perona when she grows up. But how long is a long time?" Seeing Perona asking herself innocently with her big eyes open, Lin Chen smiled. "That's when Perona grew up." Grow up. Seeing that Perona didn't understand what she meant, Lin Chen quickly changed the topic. "Let's go with Big Brother. He will take you to a good place. There are many brothers and sisters there who will be kind to you. Okay, brother, don't forget to buy me candy." Taking Perona's little hand, Lin Chen decided to bring her into Marine, at least to raise her to adulthood. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. After stretching, Lin Chen closed his eyes and yawned. After another half-month of sailing, we finally returned to Naval Headquarters. Over the years, he has actually regarded Naval Headquarters as his home in his heart. Now that he has returned from such a long absence, Lin Chen feels an unexplainable feeling in his heart. Before the warship could dock, Lin Chen couldn't wait to use moonwalk to reach the port with Perona in his arms. That seems to be Lin Chen, Rear Admiral. He is indeed a genius who graduated from Marine School. He has such strength at such a young age. He will also be an admiral in the future. Who is he holding in his arms? Is it Lin Chen, Rear Admiral's daughter? Is the mother Guion? Idiot. Lin Chen is only about the age of Guion and Rear Admiral, how can they have a child? Listening to the whispers of the Marines around him, a smile appeared on Lin Chen's lips. Go home feeling good. Holding Perona in his arms, Lin Chen came to Marine's high-level office and pushed the door open without knocking. Damn it, Lin Chen. Next time, knock on the door and come in again. Seeing Sengoku complaining towards him, Lin Chen scratched his ears and didn't care. I know, I'll do it next time. Isn't that old man Garp back yet? I glanced around and saw some familiar people, but I couldn't find Garp. Sengoku. I don't know where that guy went. Aren't you two together? And where did you abduct the little girl in your arms? You must remember that you are a Marine. Lin Chen. Lin Chen looked at Perona, who was a little scared of strangers, comforted him a little, and said nonchalantly. This is old man Garp's daughter. Marine executive. What? Looking at everyone who was shocked, Lin Chen continued. I found Perona on the way back. I decided to adopt her as my sister, which was a way to save old man Garp. After hearing Lin Chen's explanation, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Later, Lin Chen told a few people about the violent ape Gesha and the battle with Moria. Several people were shocked when they heard that Lin Chen defeated Moria. He lowered his head and thought for a while before saying. But that's Shichibukai. Will the world government blame Lin Chen if it finds out? Several people frowned. This was indeed easily blamed by the world government. Seeing the thinking of several people, Lin Chen smiled and thought about it. I didn't take the initiative to attack Moria. That guy saw our warship didn't give way and attacked him directly. I was acting in self-defense. After hearing Lin Chen's explanation, several people in the office looked at each other and smiled, and they all understood the meaning. Then Lin Chen looked at Sengoku with burning eyes, his eyes full of meaning. Of course Sengoku, who felt uncomfortable all over, knew about the protection he had given Lin Chen before, but Sengoku was also a wily marshal. Through the conversation with Lin Chen, he naturally knew that he had been tricked, and then looked at Lin Chen with a sinister smile. Lin Chen, I originally wanted to reward you with berry compensation this time, but I found that we need to give young people a larger platform to perform, so I decided to grant you the position of Marine Vice Admiral. Lin Chen's face immediately dropped when he heard Sengoku's words. He didn't expect to be given such a reward by Sengoku. But then Sengoku said a little seriously. We had a recent discussion and decided to send you to the New World to settle in the G3 branch, which is currently the newly built Marine base. The pirates in the New World are too strong, and Lin Chen, your strength is just enough to be tempered. After a pause, as if he remembered something, Sengoku continued. Of course I won't let you stay for too long. The purpose of sending you this time is to investigate a new group of powerful pirates in the New World. Currently, through informants, we can only know that the captain wears a straw hat and has a red suit. The strength is said to be very strong. You must investigate clearly when you go this time. I am afraid that the pirate strength in New World is about to be greatly reshuffled. Hearing Sengoku talking about the red-haired Lin Chen wearing a straw hat, he already knew the identity of that person, red-haired Shanks, one of the future 4 emperors. Unexpectedly, the red hair has arrived in the New World now. I don't know how his current strength compares with mine. But just after he came back and before he had rest, he was given another task by Sengoku. Lin Chen felt a little helpless and muttered to Sengoku. Does Marshal Sengoku want me to leave now? Of course not. The headquarters will grant you half a month's leave. You can go back and spend time with Guion. This is the first time the young couple have been apart for so long, ha 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 ha. Everyone in the office had anti-smiles on their faces when they heard this. Only he gave some warning to Lin Chen. Xiao Lin Chen, although I also support you and Guillaume, you must know that you and Guillaume are still young, and you should know that doing some things prematurely is not good for both of you. Hearing Aunt He's hint, Lin Chen blushed like a butt. I remember Aunt He, but Guillaume Nay and I haven't confirmed our relationship yet. You two are too good at 8 trigrams. With that said, Lin Chen hugged Perona and fled the office in a hurry, leaving only a burst of laughter behind him. Chapter 18. After leaving Marine's office, Lin Chen couldn't wait to go to Guillaume's home. He searched around but found no one. In desperation, Lin Chen had no choice but to take Perona to his home to settle down. Seeing that the little kid was getting sleepy, Lin Chen put Perona to sleep again before he had some free time. Let's go visit Mr. Zephyr first. Maybe Guillaume is at the training ground. Lin Chen made up his mind and returned to Marine School. When he came back again, Lin Chen's mentality was completely different. Maybe he didn't feel it when he trained every day in school, but after being out for half a year, Lin Chen finally saw the cruelty of this world. Teacher Zephyr, be careful. Hearing a familiar voice, Lin Chen found that Guillaume was fighting Teacher Zephyr at the training ground, and there were a large number of students watching the battle. Lin Chen couldn't help but be a little surprised when he saw Guillaume waving his sword Kimpira and fighting Zephyr back and forth. Judging from Lin Chen's eyesight, Guillaume's swordsmanship at this time was no less than his own, and his strength was probably no less than that of the Marine Rear Admiral. The two fought for a while before stopping, and Zephyr also commented. Guillaume, your Armament Haki still needs more training. Of course, your current strength has caught up with that kid Lin Chen. Secretly hearing Zephyr's comments, Lin Chen also nodded. His strength before going to sea was at this level. Guillaume, please accept my third confession. Lin Chen, who was about to go out, was petrified when he heard these words, followed by a strong sense of crisis. Looking around, he saw a man with a very wretched appearance and temperament appearing among the people watching before, who was confessing his love to Guillaume with an idiotic look on his face. Lin Chen couldn't help it on the spot when he saw that this man dared to confess his love to Guillaume. Hey, who are you? How dare you confess your feelings shamelessly to Sister Guillaume? Don't you know that Sister Guillaume is my woman? In anger, Lin Chen spoke indiscriminately. Of course, he did not realize that what he said was shocking. Guillaume was a little angry when he heard someone say that he belonged to the other person, but when he turned around, he saw that it was Lin Chen whom he hadn't seen for a long time. After being pleasantly surprised, I remembered what Lin Chen had just said, and my heart was filled with happiness. Who are you, kid? How dare you say that Guillaume is your woman? Lousy is the future Marine Admiral. Hearing another person claiming to be the future Marine Admiral, Lin Chen finally remembered who this person was. Marai has confessed his love to Guillaume 100 times, and Marine Admiral is the substitute. Lin Chen naturally didn't like him very much and responded sarcastically. I've been beating the last man who claimed to be the future Marine Admiral for 5 years. As he spoke, Lin Chen strode forward and hugged Guillaume into his arms, declaring his sovereignty. Knowing that Lin Chen was unhappy at this time, Guillaume left Lin Chen alone, and he didn't have a good impression of Kaji, so he kept harassing him, which made him very troubled. At the same time, Lin Chen lowered his head and asked about the details of Guillaume's plan. What is this guy's background? I don't know either. I just know that the marshal and the others specially recruited him. I'm afraid he will be trained as an admiral. Although he didn't know why there was a slight deviation between the plot and his own memory, Lin Chen didn't care about it. As long as he had the strength, no one could take Guillaume away from him. Seeing Lin Chen hugging Guillaume as soon as he came up, Guillaume didn't resist and seemed to be enjoying it very much. Kaki couldn't bear it anymore. Send your name. Boy, I want to duel with you. Seeing Jaji's furious expression at this moment, Lin Chen felt relieved. Marine Vice Admiral, Lin Chen. Everyone around was shocked when they heard this. They must know that Lin Chen was just a rear admiral before he went to sea. In just a few months, he was promoted to Vice Admiral. This kind of promotion speed is unique in the history of Marine. Even Zephyr couldn't help but be secretly surprised. At the same time, with his vicious eyes, he could also feel that Lin Chen's strength was no longer at the same level as it was a few months ago. I'm afraid that he might not be able to be in Lin Chen's hands now. Find a bargain. Thinking of this, Zephyr reminded Lin Chen. Lin Chen, please be gentle and don't hurt Jaji. He will also have the potential of Admiral in the future. We don't want you two to form a grudge. Hearing this, Lin Chen turned around and smiled. Don't worry, Teacher Zephyr. I know my own rules. I'll be with you soon. Zephyr was stunned when he heard Lin Chen's confident words. Jaji was now close to the strength of Marine Vice Admiral. Even he didn't dare to say that he could solve it in a short time. But Lin Chen's tone seemed to be very confident in his own strength. Zephyr couldn't help but look forward to it. Seeing how Lin Chen didn't care about him, Jaji's face turned red with anger. Stop talking nonsense, kid. I'll show you how powerful I am later. If you lose, stay away from Guillaume in the future. Oh, then it will be the same after you lose. My Guillaume family is very troubled by your harassment. The words of the two people were tit for tat, and the surrounding Marine students looked at the two people with very interesting eyes. This kind of melon is not to be missed. Who do you think will win? I guess it's Senior Lin Chen. After all, he is the #1 genius in Marine. That's not necessarily the case. Since Kaji came here, you have seen his strength and potential. Even Teacher Zephyr said that he will have the appearance of an admiral in the future. Two men fought over Guion, but it's a pity that I'm not even qualified to take action, alas. Don't even look at what kind of toad you are. Guion and Lin Chen are officially recognized CPs by our entire Marine. At this time, the two of them were facing each other on the training ground. Kaji looked at Lin Chen with a serious face and did not dare to be careless. On the other hand, Lin Chen always acted lightly. Boy, here I come. Seeing Lin Chen looking so relaxed, Kaji was the first to attack. Seeing Kaji rushing towards him, Lin Chen stretched out, pulled out the autumn water from his waist and stuck it on the ground. At the same time, he took out Jingjae and threw it towards Kaji, who was rushing towards him. A careful person can naturally find some strange curse marks engraved on both knives. What is this guy doing? Dodging sideways the long knife thrown at him, this question arose in Kaji's mind, which was also a question shared by everyone present. Why did Lin Chen just throw away the sword without using it? Is Lin Chen crazy? He didn't use swordsmanship but just threw the sword like this. It's hard to say. Let's take a look first. Maybe Lin Chen has his own plans. Hearing the whispers coming from around him, Kaji had no time to think about these issues at this time. Since you threw away the saber, you must pay for your arrogance. As he spoke, his speed increased sharply again, and at the same time, his arms were covered with Armament Haki. It was obvious that Haki had been trained to a good level. Flying Thunder God Technique. Holding the hilt of Jingxi's knife, the Thunder attribute Chakra in his body surged out. At the same time, Armament Haki was attached to Jingjae. Lin Chen swung a heavy blow at Kaji, who was defenseless on the back. Thunder Slash. A snow-white slash crossed the training ground and hit Kaji on the back. His dark body was exposed behind the damaged clothes, but he still suffered a lot of damage. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows when he saw Kaji covering his whole body with Armament Haki. When Kaji immediately turned around, he immediately used the Flying Thunder God technique to come to Chu Shui's side. Holding two long knives in both hands, the two types of thunder, fire, chakra and Armament Haki in the body are attached to the blades, looking extremely gorgeous. Double Swords Wa Slash. Doghead.jpg. In the blink of an eye, Lin Chen slashed at Kaji with both swords, killing him instantly. Chapter 19 Battle with Zephyr. Advertise here. Seeing Kaji unconscious on the ground, the people around him opened their eyes wide and were speechless. Guion off the field was surprised at Lin Chen's strength, but also happy that Lin Chen took action for himself and Kaji. It seemed that Lin Chen took a lot of time to complete these actions, but in fact, in the eyes of the people around him, Lin Chen disappeared instantly, appeared behind Kaji and slashed with a knife, then disappeared, and then appeared in front of Kaji and slashed directly with both swords. Seconds dropped. All this happened in just a moment. Many people didn't even realize that the battle was over, and the addition was even more tragic. They even fainted and didn't know how they fell into unconsciousness. Ignoring the surprise of the people around him, Lin Chen moved his shoulders and turned to look at Zephyr with a sunny smile. Warm-up is complete. Teacher Zephyr, do you want to test my strength? Seeing Lin Chen's appearance at this time, Zephyr laughed coldly. How shao zi, kan lai ni chu ku jie ji ge yu yi jing wang la zai marine shui shao de wu nian ni shi zhen mi bei wo zog wo lai de la, gang hao rang ni ji dao yao ge wo shui wei zun lao I yu. With a wave of both fists, Zephyr walked to the field and looked at Lin Chen with a sinister smile, and then looked at the unconscious Kaji on the ground. Drag this guy away, you will be the next one lying down, Lin Chen. The onlookers immediately brought Kaji into the infirmary. At the same time, Lin Chen and Zephyr were very excited when they saw Lin Chen and Zephyr on the court. This was a battle between a marine genius and the former marine admiral. They may not have seen it in this life. Several times. Slowly, Lin Chen's expression became serious. Although Teacher Zephyr was a former marine admiral, his strength might have declined slightly as he got older, but he might not be much different from the admiral. It was even said that his strength was still at the admiral level. After all, Lin Chen knew that the main reason for Zephyr's decline in strength was after his arm was chopped off by Whitebeard too. Of course, Lin Chen will not let this kind of tragedy happen again. Today's Zephyr Armament Haki can be said to be the top group in Marine. The Zephyr who was once an admiral was codenamed Black Arm Zephyr. Boy, I told you that Haki, your taijutsu and swordsmanship, is your top priority. Don't rely too much on your fruit ability like Kizaru. Hearing Zephyr's words, Lin Chen naturally knew that this was Zephyr's warning that his strength had improved too quickly after going to sea. But there was nothing he could do. After all, Zephyr didn't know that this was his cheat, not some devil fruit ability. Looking at the motionless Zephyr in front of him, Lin Chen activated Sharingan to find out its weaknesses, but unfortunately found nothing. Since there is no weakness, then I will force out your weakness. Thinking of this, Lin Chen took the lead in attacking Zephyr. Good boy, you have courage. Abandoning his swordsmanship, Lin Chen fought with Zephyr, who was also in the same situation, with his arms darkened. Without him, Lin Chen wanted to know how different his physical skills were from Admiral's. The two relied on physical skills to punch to the flesh, and fighting together made the people around them stare wide-eyed. I didn't expect Lin Chen to be as good as Teacher Zephyr in physical skills. Does Lin Chen already possess Admiral's strength? Hearing the sounds around him, Zephyr smiled. Boy, I've almost mastered your physical skills. I'm going to put it into practice. As he spoke, Zephyr's punches suddenly accelerated, and Lin Chen was caught off guard and was directly suppressed. Feeling Zephyr's stormy attack rhythm, Lin Chen felt very uncomfortable. Sharingan kept turning, and only in this way could Lin Chen barely hold up under Zephyr's attack. The rhythm is completely contained. We have to find a way to disrupt his attack rhythm, otherwise, we will lose. Boy, don't be distracted during the battle. Oops. Lin Chen, who was thinking, was caught off guard when Zephyr punched him hard in the abdomen. His whole body was instantly knocked away and a big hole was made in the surrounding wall. Gion's heart suddenly lifted. At some point, Sengoku, Suru and San Admiral also came to the training ground to watch the game. My physical skills are pretty good. I can actually fight Zephyr to this level. In the past, you guys couldn't reach this level. Glancing at the three Admiral Sengoku beside him, he said calmly. The three admirals on the side did not speak. All three of them were Logia fruit capable users, and of course they focused on developing the fruit. When I first graduated, I really didn't have much training in physical skills, but after so many years, I have naturally cultivated my physical skills to the level that Admiral should be. Several people continued to focus on the training ground, watching what Lin Chen would do next. After the smoke around the wall dispersed, Lin Chen rubbed his stomach, looked at Zephyr and smiled bitterly. Teacher Zephyr was so unscrupulous, his bones were almost broken. Zephyr grinned. If you don't show your true skills, you will be beaten severely by me. In that case, let's show Mr. Zephyr my newly invented move. As he spoke, Lin Chen's body exploded with lightning, and his whole body was surrounded by thunder attribute chakra. Lin Chen smiled as he felt a faint numbness in all parts of his body. Whoosh! Chidori! In just a moment, Lin Chen arrived in front of Zephyr. Even Zephyr was shocked by the speed, but he still reacted immediately. Iron body. Seeing a small scar on his chest, Zephyr grinned and then rushed towards Lin Chen. Shave. Armed emission. Seeing Zephyr punching him, Lin Chen did not give up. Haki attached himself to the fist and followed Zephyr in the punch. Seeing Lin Chen, a newborn calf who is not afraid of tigers, directly boxing with Zephyr, Kizaru couldn't help but feel a little emotional. Ah, Teacher Zephyr is so cruel. He even used emission. I feel sorry for Lin Chen. Lin Chen felt something was wrong as soon as he faced Zephyr's fist. The armor on Zephyr's fist was more powerful than anything he had ever seen. His own armor was instantly defeated, and even his arm suffered a lot of damage. After suffering the loss, Lin Chen immediately stepped back, covering his arms and looking at the faintly materialized black and red Haki on Zephyr's fist. Lin Chen couldn't help but smack his lips. This kind of armament Haki is probably at level 8. It seems that Teacher Zephyr still has the strength of Admiral. Thinking of this, Lin Chen also knew that if he didn't show his true skills, he would be beaten today. 8 inner gates. 5th gate, Duman, open. A large amount of steam chakra lingered on the body surface, and at the same time, the chakra with thunder properties stimulated the cells of the body. Lin Chen felt that his speed and strength had improved by more than one level compared to his previous self. Zephyr's expression became serious when he saw Lin Chen in this state. In his perception, Lin Chen's physical skills were now as good as his own, or even stronger. Even Sengoku and the others who were watching were surprised by Lin Chen's performance. It looks like a 4th admiral will be added in a few years. Lin Chen's speed was at full speed, even Zephyr couldn't react in time, and the two fought fiercely together again. Unlike before, both of them were at full strength at this time. The weaker students on the training field could not even catch the two of them, and could only hear the faint roar from the air. After punching Zephyr's fist again, Lin Chen shook off his hand. Although he could now catch up with Teacher Zephyr in all attributes, Zephyr's emission weapon color still caused too much burden on his body. If you want to win, you must use a powerful move to end the battle directly. Thinking of this, Lin Chen gritted his teeth as he felt that his body could no longer hold up. 6th gate, Jingmun, open. Chapter 20 The Big Bad Wolf and the Little White Rabbit. Seeing Lin Chen's momentum rising to a higher level at this time, everyone around him was surprised, but people like Sengoku Zephyr and others had already discovered that there seemed to be something wrong with Lin Chen's body. He looked at Lin Chen on the field and said, now Lin Chen's strength is comparable to Admiral. Zephyr may not be his opponent after fighting him for so long, but if this continues, Lin Chen may become a useless person if his body cannot support him. Everyone was shocked when they heard his words, but he was not an alarmist. 8 inner gates is a forbidden technique in Hokage, especially if Lin Chen has not yet mastered it. It will put a very serious load on his body, but Lin Chen also just planned to open the scenery gate and release a move. Gion listened to his analysis and shouted anxiously towards Lin Chen. Hey, Lin Chen, stop it. If you continue like this, you will have physical problems. Hearing Gion's voice, Zephyr frowned and looked at Lin Chen a little annoyed. Boy, do you want your life? Lin Chen supported his body and looked at Zephyr, his eyes full of determination. Teacher Zephyr, I am also holding on. The next move will determine the outcome. Reading the meaning in Lin Chen's eyes, Zephyr also looked solemn. In that case, come on. After hearing Zephyr's words, Lin Chen took a deep breath. Towards the Peacock Armed mission. The training ground was filled with light, and it was only when the dust and smoke cleared that everyone could see clearly what was happening on the field. Lin Chen was lying on the ground unconscious, Zephyr stood there panting heavily, and Kizaru stood beside Lin Chen, with a lot of his clothes burned. It's really scary. Little brother Lin Chen. Kizaru rubbed his chin and looked at Lin Chen with a scared look on his face. It turned out that Zephyr was exhausted during the confrontation between Zephyr and Lin Chen. At the critical moment, Kizaru immediately stepped forward to block the blow, thus preventing Zephyr, who had no fighting power, from being harmed. Looking at Lin Chen, who was unconscious, Gion quickly stepped forward and carried Lin Chen into the infirmary. He showed an angry look when he passed by Zephyr. Seeing this, Zephyr also had a wry smile on his face. Since his strength was not at Admiral level, he naturally didn't understand what just happened. Gion thought it was Zephyr who beat Lin Chen like this. After confirming that both of them were fine, Sengoku also breathed a sigh of relief. I'm afraid this guy will have to stay in bed for half a month again. It doesn't matter if you lie down, you won't have to stick to Gion every day. Gion is now full of Lin Chen, and I'm almost gone as a sister. Sengoku laughed as he listened to the crane's chatter. I don't know who was the most ruthless in bringing him together. Of course Lin Chen can't go to Gion now, but when Lin Chen is lying in bed, you can see if Gion will stay in the hospital every day to take care of him. Well, Crane was also very helpless about this. I can't control it anymore, let them go. As the battle between Lin Chen and Zephyr came to an end, news came from Marine that shocked the world. Lin Chen, the #1 genius in Marine, is tied with Zephyr in a battle. He is only 18 years old and already possesses terrifying strength. He is currently a Marine Vice Admiral and will definitely be a Marine Admiral within 3 years. Marine intends to set up a 4th Admiral, and the best candidate currently is Lin Chen Vice Admiral. Lin Chen possesses extremely terrifying speed, and is also very powerful in physical skills. He is good at dual sword style. It is currently unknown whether he has demon fruit power. He is suspected to be the son of Marine hero Vice Admiral Garp. A series of news came out, which made many powerful people in the world feel a little interested. On an unknown island, a man with eagle-like eyes looked at the newspaper in his hand, focusing on the flow of 2 swords. Is he Marine's strong swordsman? I must challenge him when I have time. At this time, a young man wearing a straw hat and red hair came over. It seems that Marine has another strong man. I wonder if I will meet him in the future. Turning to look at the red-haired young man beside him, the eagle-eyed man immediately pulled out the sword behind him. Shanks, let's have a show of swordsmanship. Moby Dick. Whitebeard looked at the news in his hand and focused on seeing that Lin Chen was suspected to be Garp's son. I didn't expect that guy Garp to have a son at such an old age. Ha, my son is no worse than his son. The sons are having a party. Long live daddy. In a mysterious kingdom, a man with tattoos on his face looked at the newspaper in his hand and his mouth twitched. When did dad have another son? He really raised him to become a Marine. I must go and see my little brother when I have time. At this time, Lin Chen was lying on the bed with bandages all over his body, eating the grapes that Gion had peeled for him. He was watching the news in the newspaper and complained to Gion. What? When did I become the son of old man Garp? Listening to Lin Chen's complaints, Gion just smiled and said nothing. Lin Chen and Garp both said they disliked each other. In fact, they were already as close as father and son, but neither of them noticed it. Lin Chen's heartbeat suddenly accelerated when he looked at Gion, who was lowering his head and focusing on peeling grapes for himself. Sister Gion, I want you to feed me. I've been feeding you. He raised his head and looked at Lin Chen with some confusion, but Gion still put the peeled grapes into Lin Chen's mouth, and Lin Chen immediately took Gion's finger into his mouth. The two stared at each other, and Gion's face suddenly turned pink. What are you doing? Spit it out quickly. Gently rubbing Gion's white fingers with his teeth, Lin Chen reluctantly took out Gion's fingers and said instead. Gion-sama, can you feed me with your mouth? Seeing Gion stunned for a moment, his face already red and bloodshot, Lin Chen continued. I have been going to sea for a few months, and I think about Sister Gion every day. I find that I have fallen in love with Sister Gion. I have always liked Sister Gion for so many years. I am afraid that my body will be damaged after the battle with Teacher Zephyr yesterday. I have to rest for half a month. Then I will have to go to the new world again, and I won't be able to see Gion-san every day, so I Before Lin Chen could finish speaking, Gion had already kissed Lin Chen on the lips with the peeled grape in his mouth. For a moment, Lin Chen's mind went blank, only the taste on his lips, a sour and sweet feeling filled his mouth. Slowly, Lin Chen began to ask for more from Gion. Although it was the first time for both of them to kiss, Guillaume was naturally not as talented in this area as Lin Chen. After a while, Lin Chen took the initiative. Well, the only sound in the silent ward was the heavy breathing of two people. I don't know how long it took. Guillaume gasped and broke away from Lin Chen's arms, and glared at Lin Chen fiercely. This guy was not careful with his hands when kissing him. He could hardly breathe. His big hands were still wandering around. Looking at Lin Chen's hands, Guillaume regretted for the first time why teacher Zephyr failed to kiss Lin Chen. Chen's hand was also broken. But he just gave it up after thinking about it. If Lin Chen's hand was also broken, I would feel even more distressed. Guillaume's sister. Hearing Lin Chen calling him, and pulling her into his arms, Guillaume only offered a symbolic resistance. Both of them had tasted the forbidden fruit for the first time, so they naturally wanted to savor the taste. Just as the two of them had eyes filled with love and were about to kiss again, a discordant sound sounded. Ahem. At some point, Garp, he and Perona had arrived at the door of the ward. Guillaume's little face turned pink all of a sudden. He wanted to find a crack in the ground and crawled into it. He ran away without daring to raise his head. Sister, he kept telling herself not to get along with Lin Chen too early, but she didn't expect to be beaten by Lin Chen. The sweet words deceived the first kiss. He was caught in the act by Sister He just now, but now he has no shame to look at he again. Although Lin Chen was embarrassed at this time, he also knew that he was a man and had to take responsibility. And you have also seen that Sister Guillaume and I are in love. Okay. Who said I want to stop you too? I just think that you are still young and it is too early. Since you are already like this, what can I say? However, Garp didn't think anything was wrong. He walked up to Lin Chen and slapped him with his big hand, making Lin Chen's body almost fall apart. Boy, remember to give me some more grandchildren when the time comes. I will train them to become the strongest Marines. Brother has a lot of injuries on his body. Does it hurt? Holding the sensible Perona in his arms, Lin Chen scratched the tip of Perona's nose and chuckled. My brother was still in pain at first, but once Perona came, it stopped hurting me. Upon hearing Lin Chen's answer, Perona's eyes narrowed with joy. The sun was shining in the ward. Looking at Guillaume who was hiding at the door and peeking at him, and then looking at the people around him, Lin Chen suddenly felt like home.